Hey, what's up, folks? Good day, good day. I'm going to be doing some prep for my Pathfinder game today, so this is going to be something quite a bit different. Not the usual, that's for damn sure. Just give me a second here to get things sorted. Let's see. Well, it's going to be interesting for you guys to try and see this because it is. So we're just going to show you guys some of the screen because on the vertical, fuck it. If you can't see the full thing, it doesn't really matter anyway. It's just here because so you can see some stuff. Oh, geez. I fucking hate this program. It sucks so fucking bad. It's constant fucking issues. Here's the map here. Show you guys the map. It'd be cool if I could make it so it would follow my mouse around the actual thing, but I can move that. Can I? Yes. No. Not even actually showing you guys a live fucking feed of it. There we go. Some shit already happened back there. I can't remember what happened. I'm gonna have to refresh myself. We're gonna be listening. Story stuff up here. Gotta love them Twitch ads, man. Fuck Twitch. Fucking hate that site. What was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say. I'm gonna turn down the music a bit here. It's quite loud. It's not that loud. And we're gonna go through stuff. Because I don't remember where we were at exactly, but we can give you guys a little bit of a fill-in on kind of what's happening here. You guys will be seeing and hearing this in the from the perspective of the GM. So if any of my players are here, not too bad, thanks, Trench. How you making out? If any of my players are here, if you would kindly mute, or if you plan on listening to it anyway, don't fucking metagame me. That's all I ask. Just don't metagame me. Pretend you don't know what's coming and act like it. And act accordingly. But yeah, so I'm gonna fire this up here. Get ready. You guys will get a bit of you guys will get the old fucking robo voice here. So basically what's going on is I'm doing something called the Abomination Vaults. It's actually getting released as a video game later. Probably not this year, probably next year at some point. So essentially there's this this woman named Belcora Harivo, and she's a descendant of the Harivo family, who basically hates one of the big sprawling metropolis, the big city of one of the biggest cities in the game. Just hates it. Just hates everything it stands for and wants it gone. That's Drive Shaft. that's our good friend Drive Shaft, aka the Stig.
The Horovik's family tree both sprawls and surges with sorcery. The family's strongest bloodlines have an aberrant strain, which provides family prestige as well as source rouse power. Generations of Haruvexes married within the family to strengthen this lineage, and the most powerful Haruvexes lived in Absalom 500 years ago. These Absalom Haruvexes made secret obeisance to the outer gods for great wealth and greater power. But none in the family approached the power of their youngest scion, Belcora Horovikes. Belcora had been told, every day for as long as she could remember, that she was the harbinger of Enhimbolith, the empty death, and that she was her family's greatest hope for power and prosperity. The Haruvexes enacted abhorrent rites in their worship. Belcora had been told, every day for as long as she could remember, that she was...
I don't know if I like that voice. There's not too many we can get, though. Because I don't got any fucking money to resubscribe to this shit.
Hi, my name is Microsoft Linda, English.
Hi, my name is Microsoft Richard, English, Canada. I was the harbinger of Enhimbolith, the empty death, and that she was her family's greatest hope for power and prosperity. The Haruvexes enacted abhorrent rites in their worship, including bloody sacrifices, and the authorities eventually caught wind of their crimes. The Haruvexes were finally driven from the Isle of Kortos in 4219 AR, forced to leave their estates and luxuries behind. Belcora was only 6 years old at the time, but as she grew, her rage at losing her home solidified into an overwhelming hatred of Absalom and everyone in it. Most of the exiled Haruvexes died in poverty, but Belcora grew strong and proud. At 17, she interpreted visions from Enhimbolith that led her back to the Isle of Kortos to plan her revenge. Far above a subterranean shrine to Enhimbolith called the Empty Vault, in a lonely stretch of wooded coast a few dozen miles from Absalom, Belcora erected a magical lighthouse and called it Gauntlight. She dug deep beneath it to reach the shrine she had seen in her visions, and while she worked, she began to plan her revenge. She would draw subterranean monsters and violent beasts into her secret dungeons, which she called the Abomination Vaults, and use Gauntlight's magic to send them into Absalom to wreak havoc. She enacted the first part of her plan, expanding the Abomination Vaults and raising a defensible keep around the lighthouse.
Let me see if we can get something else that's not as fucking nasally. Everything is locked unless I get a sub, and I can't resub right now, so.
Hi, my name is Microsoft David.
Hi, my name is Microsoft Mark, English, United.
Hi, my name is Microsoft Linda, English, Canada.
Hi, my name is Microsoft Mark, English,
Let's try
United
Microsoft
States.
Mark.
I am a lighthouse. She leveraged family acquaintance. She enacted the first part of her plan, expanding the Abomination Vaults and raising a defensible keep around the lighthouse. She leveraged family acquaintances to acquire powerful retainers and champions to lead her monstrous forces. Belcora was still stocking her Abomination Vaults with aberrations when rumors of her villainy reached Absalom. The Rose Guard, a group of heroes headquartered in Absalom, set out from the city to confront and vanquish her. The Rose Guard faced Belcora within Gauntlight Keep and killed her there.
Yeah, he's the original.
One of the 4 members of the Rose Guard, a rogue named Odori Ilvishti, died in this fight. Grieving their lost friend, the Rose Guard left, sealed up the keep, founded what would become the town of Odori, and retired there. They never knew of the keep's lower levels or the many creatures still remaining within them. Content warning. While Abomination Vaults contains typical Pathfinder action and adventure, it also presents themes of suicide, ableism, body horror, and human experimentation. Before you begin, understand that player consent, including that of the game master, is vital to a safe and fun play experience for everyone. You should talk with your players before beginning and modify descriptions or scenarios as appropriate. A dungeon full of monsters. The horrors trapped in the Abomination Vaults developed some measure of ecosystem in the following centuries. While many monsters beneath the citadel died, others have prospered, and now several communities of Morlocks, Erdefhands, ghouls, and stranger creatures call the dungeons home. Only the longest lived remember any life other than the dungeons. Belcora had bound several devils to serve her as overseers and administrators, and many of these still maintain order. Apart from the regions maintained by these devils and a drow outpost in one of the lowest levels, the Abomination Vaults are lawless and dangerous. The Abomination vaults consist of 10 levels, including the ruins around Gauntlet on the surface. There, from top to bottom, the ruins of Gauntlet Keep, the servants' quarters, the library, Belcora's former living chambers, the arena, the laboratories, the prison, the farm caverns, the hunting cavern, and the temple level, which holds the empty vault. Each level has its own character, and the levels are progressively more dangerous the deeper the heroes venture. Belcora's Rise. Belcora's spirit didn't rest peacefully. Consumed by rage and empowered by Anhimbolith, she arose as a powerful ghost 500 years after her family's exile from Absalom, the event that so dramatically altered her life. Belcora now lurks in the deepest levels of the Abomination vaults, plotting her revenge against Absalom and the heroes who vanquished her. The Rose Guard are long dead, but the town they founded remains, and the icons representing their adventuring careers, page 217, now have the power to penetrate Belcora's protections. At first, no one in Odory realizes the danger Belcora poses. Her machinations and her monsters are well out of sight. But before she moves against Absalom, she intends to use her gauntlet against Odory, the town built by the adventurers who killed her 5 centuries before. Only Odory's newest heroes can prevent Belcora's vengeance and put her spirit to rest. Campaign Timeline. The following is a rough history of significant events relevant to this adventure path. Date. Event. Age of Darkness. Serpent folk construct the empty vault, a shrine to Anhimbolith far beneath the surface of Gol Orion. When Aradin raises the Starstone Isles from the inner sea, the empty vault ascends with it.
I'm just playing this for most of you guys, to be honest, just to get started. Yeah, I'm just playing this so you guys can kind of get a bit of a feel for what the hell's going on here exactly. Now, I've got a group playing tomorrow. I'm just hopping back into it, just showing you guys what's up, basically. Just kind of putting you guys onto some lore. That's basically it. I've got a game that runs tomorrow. I've got a game that runs on Saturdays. That's not to say that we can't at some point. Not to say that we can't.
Ending up several hundred feet below the Isle of Kortos. Unknown. The neutral drow of a subterranean city construct an outpost closer to the surface called Yildiris. These drow are unconsciously drawn to the empty vault but don't know of its presence. 4213 AR Belcora Harovakes is born to the wealthy Harovakes family in Absalom. Unknown to anyone outside the family, the Haruvexes have a strong aberrant bloodline and a familial devotion to the outer god Anhimbolith. 4219 AR. The Harovakes family is ejected from Absalom when their secret sacrifices are discovered. They flee to Andoran, where they live in poverty. This is particularly hard on 6-year-old Belcora, the family's youngest scion. The Haruvexes instill in Belcora a hatred of Absalom and impress upon the child her role as Anhimbolith's chosen one.
So basically their crazy family was getting rich and doing crazy human sacrifices and shit. So basically modern politics, you know, modern politics. Yeah, the people that I run a game for people on Saturdays. They are far along in this. I'm just playing some stuff to put you guys on so you guys aren't like, what the fuck is everything? You know what I mean? Just so you can get a little taste of what the fuck's happening here. And hear some lore, basically, just so I have something so I'm not just jump into the spot where I'm at and you're like, what the complete fuck is going on?
4230 AR Belcora, the last exiled Harovake.
This is just a little summary, right? It assumes you know some stuff, but even if you don't, whatever, it's not a big deal. We're just chilling.
F. Absalom and impress upon the child her role as Anhimbolith's chosen one. 4230 AR Belcora, the last exiled Harovakes, has become a powerful sorcerer. She secretly relocates to the Isle of Kortos, where she begins work on a magical lighthouse called Gauntlight, situated directly above the empty vault.
So that is where the adventuring party starts, right? This fucking lighthouse that's inland, you know what I mean? That's really far from the actual coast, is like, you know what I mean? Is lit up. And it's like, why the fuck is this thing lit up? And then all this weird shit starts happening, right? And yeah, you get some more out of that here as this explains.
She Belcora, the last exiled Herovax, has become a powerful sorcerer. She secretly relocates to the Isle of Kortos, where she begins work on a magical lighthouse called Gauntlight, situated directly above the empty vault. She magically opens passages through the earth to reach the shrine and begins to collect an army of aberrations to attack Absalom. 4234 AR Belcora completes Gauntlight and begins work on its dungeons, the Abomination Vaults. She uses will-o-wisps and bound devils to enforce her will on the rapidly expanding hordes within. She meets the drow and Erdif hands who dwell in the area and demands their fealty in exchange for their lives. 4244 AR. One of Absalom's hunting lodges, a sanctioned group of adventurers, called the Rose Guard, hear of Belcora's presence and come to investigate her lighthouse. They kill her but never learn of the existence of the expansive Abomination Vaults beneath Gauntlight. Belcora kills the rogue Odori Ilvishti in this battle. The victorious Rose Guard construct a small port community and retire there, naming it Odori after their fallen friend. 4290 AR. The last Rose Guard passes away, and Odori begins to fall into decline. 4294 AR Odori is abandoned. 4300 AR Stone Scale Kobolds colonize Odori. 4310 AR Yarlape seals his tribe's fate by luring ships to their doom. The Stone Scale Kobolds are soon thereafter defeated by adventurers. Maklani Menhems leads the resettlement of Odori. 4323 AR construction of the Odori Mill and Log Flume is completed. 4719 AR Belcora awakens as a ghost and begins work to reactivate Gauntlight. Its dungeons have been populated with generations of infighting creatures since her death, and she seeks to bring them under her control once more. 4721 AR. The current year. Gauntlight becomes infested with a band of Midflits, who are displaced by Morlocks pushing upwards at the urging of their ghost queen. Gauntlight is ready for a test to demonstrate its power. Game Master advice. While each level of the Abomination Vaults is built with the assumption of a group of heroes at a particular character level, each has more than enough encounters for a party to level up. Part of the joy of a large dungeon crawl is the exploration of every nook and cranny, and a party who faces every encounter might gain enough experience points to reach higher levels well before the end of this adventure path, and that's fine. Some later encounters challenge a high-level party well enough, even if the heroes have to retreat, rest, and recover less often. The dungeon provides lots of freedom to explore, particularly in the middle levels. Let the players gauge whether their characters are in over their heads and retreat.
All right. Let me get to where I am at. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is somewhere down around here. What floor are we on? On the laboratories. Where is the laboratory? Yeah, I'm the GM. Or GM or DM or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, exactly the same thing. Yeah, it's literally the exact same. I can run both, either or. It's very similar. These two games in particular are very similar. Pathfinder's easy, but Pathfinder's easier to understand. There's a lot of it. There's still a lot to it, but it's a little easier, I find, to understand than D&D. It's more straightforward. There's some trimmed fat, so to speak. Where the fuck am I at here? All right, let's see where I am at here. We're here. Oh shit. Wait, what? Where are you guys at? You guys in here now, right? Yes, you guys are down here. Okay. Oh. We're gonna start, what are they? F1. And we're starting at F1 here. And I'm following along on my marked map. See where stuff is, and like it's telling me, okay, there's interactions here, there's this here, there's that here. I'm following along. And I keep an eye on stuff, and I look at stuff, and if I need clarification, I'll break it down and open the encounter here. For example, this will tell me what they'll be encountering in a certain spot. Now this is all pre-made stuff. This is all pre-made stuff. Yes, I don't care if anybody cares about me showing off their characters or not. We have Fenna Iron Flame, who is a level 8 fighter, dwarf, with a cooking background. Bring this down here. We shaft. Yeah, definitely spoilers. I figured you'd be, what's today? Today's Friday, ain't it? Shouldn't you be fighting for democracy? I've added a new Final Fantasy 14 role into the Discord if anybody's interested as well. I forgot to mention that. Added that in. I got it modified up, added that stuff in there. So if anybody's interested, it's there. All right, let's see here. Where am I at? Yeah, definitely gonna get yeah, held down. Okay, yeah. I was like, all right, well he'll be fighting for democracy or something tomorrow, but yeah, there will be some minor spoilers here. Some of the shit I'm starting from the beginning of the area and just refreshing myself, so you won't be into any spoilers yet. This is shit you've been through, but you might like catch some shit that didn't happen or that I didn't do. It might skew your view of what's happening, right? Because there's shit that's in here that never happens, that I just don't do. Or there's also stuff in here, there's stuff I'll add that's not in here. But that being said, do whatever you want. I said the main thing is that if it does come to it, just don't metagame me. I don't care. Just pretend you don't know if you hear anything that spoils it or whatever. I'm not like too worried about it, to be honest. I'm not worried about it like that, I should say. You know? Goes all to the GOO, man. All to the GOO, man. Where are we at now? Where are we? Ooh, you're not quite there yet. Or are you there? Were you there? You were there. You guys left from there. No. What did you guys do? Oh, yes. I think you went back up. The last thing I remember, you were fighting, you fought like a couple, like hydras or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. You guys were fighting hydras.
The wide spiral staircase.
Stop.
A dim orange glow emanates from far below F1.
I really need to
Central
get my
shaft
back
low
for
6.
this.
The wide spiral staircase continues downward, leveling out long enough to pass by a single door leading east and a hallway leading west to a double door. The space between them has a rounded, cloudy window overlooking a large pool in a natural cavern. A dim orange glow emanates from far below and, with it, a sulfurous stench. The spiral stairs lead up to the 5th level, area E1, and down to the 7th level, area G1. The stairs and the walkway connecting them have a narrow iron handrail to prevent a fall 40 feet down to area G1. The window is magically transparent stone.
That's this window right here.
Support and thus part of the artifact, it can't be damaged. It also can't be manipulated like the transparent stone elsewhere in the dungeon, as it lacks control glyphs. Creatures, Jafaki knows that controlling this main staircase is the best way to keep Eurevian's troops from invading his territory. It's also the ideal place to capture new research subjects. A Sugathi is on guard here, along with a Grislut chained to the handrail. The Grislut can move anywhere along the walkway in the northern half of the room. The Sugathi watches for attacks from below, so heroes descending from above might catch them off guard. Moaning and gibbering from monsters on the landing above aren't unusual and don't alert the Sugathi. If the Sugathi knows someone is coming, they cast See Invisibility from their wand, suppress their mind fog aura, and feign friendliness just long enough to put the newcomers at ease. They then try to take the intruders prisoner, fighting to the death to do so if necessary. The Grislut moans and charges forward when it detects intruders of any kind but loyally follows the Sogatha's commands. Sogatha Guard Creature 6. See Sogatha Guard. Initiative Perception plus 14. Items Longsword, Wand of Sea Invisibility. Grislut Creature 3. See Grislut. Initiative Perception plus 5. Reinforcements, Jafaki doesn't replace these guards. If this landing remains unguarded for more than 5 days, Urivian sends a cautious Barbaza from Area G3 or G5 and 2 Dreshkins from Area G4 or G15 to secure it. F2. Grime Deposits. Rust and grime fill this octagonal chamber. A wide hallway leads to the south. A circular shaft in the ceiling leads up 25 feet through the stone to Area E2. If the heroes haven't triggered the pit trap there, the shaft's top is covered with the rusty grate that collapses when moved. F3. Rocky Cave Moderate 6. The mossy walls of this pebble-strewn cavern extend upward to a ceiling 30 feet high. A wide, rounded window 15 feet above the floor overlooks this cavern. Dripping water echoes from the east. The moss on the walls is edible and, in fact, surprisingly tasty. Creatures, Belkor abound several earth elementals here, more to keep wandering guests out of her nature preserve, Area F4, than for any other reason. The elementals spring from the walls and floor 1d4 rounds after any creature enters this cavern. They have ethereal shackles visible on their limbs, representing their bound nature. The shackles prevent them from leaving this cave, but they can lurk just within the walls and floor. An elemental reduced to fewer than 5 hit points retreats into the stone and doesn't return for several days. Living Landslide Creature 5. See Living Landslide. Initiative Perception plus 12. Sodhounds, 3, Creature 3. See Sodhound. Initiative Perception plus 9. Side Quest, a hero who's an expert in arcana or occultism realizes that the elemental's binding is weak and can be undone. This reversal ritual must be performed in sight of the binding location. The stairs leading up to Area F2 or the window in Area F1 make good locations for the ritual since the elementals can't attack anyone there. The ritual takes 4 hours, consumes 60 GP of gems, and requires a hero to succeed at a DC 25 Arcana or Occultism check. The character attempting the check must be an expert in the skill being used. Up to 4 other characters can act as secondary casters. Each secondary caster can attempt a DC 23 secondary check, see Pathfinder Core Rulebook Secondary Checks section, using Arcana, Nature, or Occultism but must be trained in the skill used. The unbinding can use fewer than 4 secondary casters, and need not include any. If the ritual succeeds, the elementals return to their home plane. The Living Landslide grants a boon to one of the heroes who participated in the unbinding, most likely the primary caster. That character gains the crystal sensibility of a Sodhound for 1 week. Treasure, the Sodhounds buried 6 gemstones worth 15 GP each, given to them as payment for their service. Heroes who search the area find the stones with a successful DC 27 perception check. The hero with the crystal sensibility locates them automatically. Chapter 6 Synopsis. The Abomination Vault's 6th level served to support the gladiator games in the arena above but also included extensive laboratories for creating increasingly bizarre and powerful creatures. A small team of Sogathis pursue their flesh-warping.
What does the blue mean? What do you mean, the blue? This here? That's water. This stuff around here is like water.
A hero who searches the walkway and succeeds at a DC 20 perception check finds a suspicious masonry square near floor level. When pushed like a button, this secret door to Area F8 swings open. Creature, Eurevian sent a Sarglagan to spy on Jafaki and his plots several weeks ago. The Sarglagan is paranoid and unwilling to take risks that might overtly expose their presence, therefore, they spend most of their time fouling the water under the well if any creatures come to fill the bucket. If the heroes approach, the devil believes they've been discovered by Jafaki's allies and desperately attacks. Unwilling to admit defeat to Eurevian, the Sarglagan fights until slain. They carry one of 5 pieces of Eurevian's pendant, used to open the door into the contract devil's domain, Area G10. Sarglagan Creature 8. See Sarglagan. Initiative Perception plus 18. Items Fragment of Eurevian's Pendant, see Area G10. Treasure, the abandoned Hydra nest at the deepest point of the pool contains the equipment and bones of long-dead gladiators. The only intact piece of equipment is a +1 resilient scale mail with lion motifs. F6. Dissection Chamber Low 6. Metal shelves and
There is a absolute metric fuck ton of lore and plot to this. We did that earlier. We went into that just basically a little earlier. We are pretty deep into it. We're over halfway through. Probably about 60 to 70% through. So it's gonna present like something that's not brand new, right? We're just getting back to it after the holidays and stuff. I took a break. That's kind of when I started streaming a lot more. Actually, was around that time. And then I took a break for the last month and a half or so. I'm getting back to it. There will be other adventures. There's still plenty of lore to look through. If it's something you're interested in, it's out there. There's lots of lore to dig through. That being said, I am looking for some other rule sets to get into. There is a Warhammer rule set, which provides something like this, but it's on a different platform, like a different platform that I don't have, for one. And it's like it's totally different. What am I trying to say here? Just give me a second to move my dice here. Got some dice there. You see my dice? Yeah, I got the dice. What the fuck am I trying to say here? Yeah, it's on. I don't own it. It's on a different platform. They don't have. They don't apparently. Not from what I understand. They don't have goofy creators that are like, "So if you don't fucking, if your personal beliefs don't align with ours, we don't want you to own our product." Because that's fucking goofy business. We've seen that recently at a Pathfinder. Yeah, like a whole different platform and game set. Like you need, usually you buy like the digital tabletop, right? You get the tabletop program, and then you have to buy modules, right? Like almost like DLC, right? You buy the main module, and then you buy the enemy module, and then you buy the weapons module, and then you buy the. It's really fucking expensive. It's really fucking expensive. A lot of the stuff I own, I was lucky to have gifted to me by some folks. Drive Shaft being one of the folks, and a few other people sending me some content to kind of contribute. But Drive Shaft by far has sent through a metric fuck ton of the content that we use. So shout outs to him. Dude's the mega supporter. Dude's a legend, man. Dude's a legend. He's done so much. And he knows that he knows that he gets first invite. He is first invite every game. You want to play? He's always got a spot at my table. He's the first one to get the invite every single time. That's the least I can do. The absolute least. For someone who's supported, you know what I mean? And it's not like I'm some huge streamer where, like, if you're given that extra support so you can get the clout, right? It's you know what I mean? It's really just a generous thing. Like, it's so kind. I'm so grateful. But yeah, that being said, I make sure that I go out of my way to make sure that Drive Shaft is the first fucking dude on the list to get the invite. It's always helping out. Always helping out. And he makes the games hella interesting, to be honest. The dude has derailed my plans with the most mundane items. Don't give that guy anything basic. MacGyver, that guy. But anyhow, yes, always, the dude's always got like the most so you'll get loot, right? You'll get some loot. I'll roll up a random loot sheet sometimes, or sometimes there's predetermined loot. Like, you know, there's an item here, right? As you can see right here, there's an item. And there's another item here, right? Now I can also go in and say, hey, I can go, where is it here? Just give me a sec. I don't remember where I'm going because it's been so goddamn long. I can come in here and I can say random treasure for party size and their level, right? And I can say generate, boom. And it will generate me a table of loot. You know, for the group to split up, I can remove or add gold. I can adjust this, right? If I see anything in here that might break the fucking game, I can just rip it out of there, right? Or something that, you know, something that doesn't belong there, like, or something that shouldn't be there, like if it puts a story item in too early, because it will randomly put stuff in. But then I can fire that up, I'll lock it, I'll close it, I'll drag it out to the treasure. Right, I'll have a party sheet here. I've got my party sheet with everybody. There's loot over here. I can go to inventory. And then I put the parcel in here. Boom, it'll populate. It'll put it all in. And then the party can go in and pick out what they want and drag it into their inventories. Anywho, back to the lore.
Tables hint at this room's original purpose. Clean bones and bits of rusted metal lie in piles throughout the rest of the room. Jafaki has dumped garbage in this medical bay for decades.
F6,
3 shafts in the ceiling lead up to area E4.
F6, where the fuck is F6? We got way off there. We got F7. F6, we're way back over here. F6.
The lids at the top open easily from within the F6. Dissection chamber low 6. Metal shelves and operating tables hint at this room's original purpose. Clean bones and bits of rusted metal lie in piles throughout the rest of the room. Jafaki has dumped garbage in this medical bay for decades. 3 shafts in the ceiling lead up to area E4. The lids at the top open easily from within the shafts. A hero searching through the detritus discovers a large key with an elaborate, 4-pronged design among the various bits of junk in this room. The key opens one of the locks in the plinth room, area F7. Creatures, 2 ochre jellies lazily squelch around this chamber, feeding on trash thrown here. They move to creatures they sense, expecting food. If the characters don't immediately offer some sort of food, the jellies attack, fighting until destroyed. Ochre jellies, 2. Creature 5. See ochre jelly. Initiative perception +7. Treasure, amid the jumble of items scoured clean by the ooze's acid is a chain shirt, a steel shield, 3 daggers, a pick, several caltrops, professional fishing tackle, a spyglass, 14 pitons, and 30 feet of chain.
Yeah, exactly. It's
F7.
D&D. Same thing.
This chamber's east and west walls feature sharply angled alcoves bearing stone carvings too defaced to indicate what they originally depicted. 2 angled plinths stand here, one in the alcove to the east and another in the alcove to the west. A single door leads north, the south wall opposite it bears the outline of a door but no handle or latch. This mostly destroyed room once held relief art extolling the majesty of Belcorra and Enhimbolith. All that remains are 2 plinths, one on both sides of the room, that each bear a unique lock. The door to the south and the one beyond it don't open normally, each is functionally a solid stone wall 2 feet thick unless unlocked. The eastern plinth features a lock with a round keyhole. Turning the proper key in this lock opens or closes the northernmost door in the passage to the south, the outline visible in this room, with a grinding noise. The western plinth has 4 holes clustered together in a metal plate. Turning the proper key in this lock opens or closes the southern of the 2 doors, also with a loud grinding noise. Without the proper keys, a character who's a master in thievery can activate one of these tricky locks with 5 successful DC 30 thievery checks to pick a lock. 3 copies of each key exist scattered around this level. The round key can be found on a shelf in the old medical supply room, area E5, and in the prisoner processing chamber, area F10. The 4-pronged key can be found on the floor of the old dissection chamber, area F6, and in Viscary's safe, area F16. Jaffa key also carries a copy of each key. F8. Observation Gallery Trivial 6. 15 feet below the ceiling, this gallery traverses all but the east side of a large, blood-stained room with a floor 5 feet lower than the gallery. A window made of cloudy, transparent stone provides an excellent view of the nearby room while blocking direct access to it. 2 rounded observation areas overlook the room from the north. A small room to the south has a small table, an old chair, and stairs leading up. Belcorra used this walkway to observe one of her champions closely as she pitted them against very...
One sec. All right. Sorry about that.
Opponents or they settled disagreements through ritual combat. A magical enchantment in the 2 rounded observation vestibules transmit sound from the testing ground into this observation gallery, but not vice versa. The table features some pieces of chalk and a few writing slates, upon which the Sugathis take notes when observing creatures in the testing grounds. The stairs near the southwest corner lead up to area E21. The northwest door has no visible latches, but the wall next to it features 2 distinct keyholes. One is a round indentation, and the other is a circular piece of stone with 4 separate holes. They function identically to the keyholes in area F7. The wall at the eastern end of the observation gallery bears faintly glowing magical glyphs. These glyphs simultaneously affect all the transparent stone ringing the gallery and operate as described in area E9. Sugathi Researcher 9. 2 secret doors lead out of this room to the north, to area F5, and southeast, to area F20. A hero searching the right area who succeeds at a DC 20 perception check locates them. Both secret doors operate the same way. A masonry square near floor level depresses like a button and causes the secret door to unlatch and swing open. Creature, a Sugathi researcher observes the Destrakan in the testing grounds and takes notes on a writing slate. Upon noticing the intruders, the Sogatha becomes eager to see how the Destrakin performs in combat. They retreat as soon as possible to the east end of the gallery to turn the wall ethereal. Once the wall is no longer solid stone, the Destrakin's echolocation allows it to recognize the hero's presence and join in combat as the Sogatha directs, together presenting a severe threat encounter for 6th level characters. Sogathi Researcher Creature 6. See Sogathi Researcher. Initiative Perception plus 14. Items Longsword, Wand of Status, Writing Slate, and Chalk. F9. Testing Grounds Moderate 6. This 20-foot high chamber's stone floor is heavily stained with blood. A wall of transparent stone separates this room from an observation gallery that rings its north, west, and south sides. The northeast corner features a short stone well, while the room's south end has a steep, ascending staircase. The room juts out a side hall to the east that ends at a charred circle in the stone with a double door nearby. This chamber was intended for grudge matches between gladiators, however, it saw equal use in testing aberrant monsters' capabilities. Since Jafaki seized control of this level, the room has served only as testing grounds. The room is 20 feet high from floor to ceiling, and the floor is 5 feet below the observation gallery. 2 iron ladders bolted to the north wall ascend the 5 feet to the transparent stone, but they don't allow access to the gallery unless the characters use the glyphs in Area F8 to render the stone ethereal. A sturdy iron grate caps the well in the north. It was built to provide food normally in the form of defeated combatants cut into chunks to the hydras in the pool. The grate appears firmly fastened to the stone but easily comes off if tried. The Sarglagan in Area F5 has broken away the grate's bolts for easy access to the Sogathi's chambers, but it has yet to muster the courage to venture into this room. The steep staircase to the southeast leads up to the Gladiators' Mead Hall, Area E25. The charred circle in the eastern wing is the other end of the teleportation circle in the Mead Hall. Creature, upon arrival, the characters find a Destrakin systematically shattering crystal chunks with its destructive harmonics at the command of a Sogathi in the observation gallery. Hungry for fresh meat, it attacks the heroes immediately, particularly if they arrive with dramatic clanging through the teleportation circle. The Destrakin fights to the death and pursues any foes that flee. The Sogathi in the observation gallery, if present, takes notes throughout the combat. Destrakin Creature 8. See Destrakan. Initiative Perception plus 20. F10. Prisoner Processing Moderate 6. Anchored shackles and fetters line the north and west walls, and blood stains obscure the stone floor. At the east and south, 2 sets of double doors lead out of the room, 2 steep staircases beside each of them lead further below. While Belcora lived, jailers brought prisoners up the stairs and shackled them to the walls before processing their paperwork on a desk that has long since been removed. These captives were then shuffled into the arena, ready to meet their death for the entertainment of Belcora's cheering guests. This room became a frequent battleground during the turf war between Jafaki and Eurevian. When some degree of peace settled over these levels, Jafaki's creations still held this room. A single flesh warp remains on guard. 3 steps down the northern stairs, a solitary key lies forgotten beneath a crusty chunk of dried viscera. A hero who searches the stairs and succeeds at a DC 15 perception check locates it. The key has a round shaft tipped with several teeth of varying length. It opens one of the locks in Area F7. The stairs descend to Area G12. The hallway on the other side of the south double door gently slopes 10 feet down to the arena. Creature, a single Irnakurs guards this room. The Sogathis don't realize it, but the devils have inflicted an infernal malediction to gradually weaken the creature. It's now constantly restless and tense, but it remains determined to slaughter anyone who isn't accompanied by a Sogathi. Afflicted Irnakurs Creature 8. See Afflicted Irnakurs. Initiative Perception plus 16. F11. Warped Brew Tavern Moderate 6. Polished wooden tables, chairs, and a long wooden bar mark this chamber as a tavern. The smell of spilled beer and fried morsels pervades the room. In the southeast corner, an elevated stage overlooks the seating. Doors lead out of this room along all 4 walls, including a double door to the west that looks to be the main entrance.
Turn this up, speed up to increase productivity here.
For Belcora's gladiators and guests, this area has, over the years, taken on the function of a tavern for flesh-warped creatures, those waiting to undergo flesh warping, and a few rare visitors. It has had its current name, the Warped Brew Tavern, for more than a century. Due to Jafaki's general lack of discipline, many of this level's denizens come here to drink, gamble, argue about who's next to go under the Sugathi's knives, and listen to Shadow Malice, the resident band. The door to the southwest opens onto a steep stairway that leads up to Area E9. When the poltergeists there started flinging debris down the stairway, the patrons stopped using it, except as a garbage disposal. The stairway is greater difficult terrain. Creatures, 5 creatures are usually found in the tavern: a female drider named Lolizunks flipping through a book filled with crudely drawn drow erotica, 2 Morlocks playing a card game called Towers, a Morlock tending the bar, and another Morlock complaining to the bartender about having to wait so long for her flesh warping. There's a 1 in 4 chance that—
Bro, they sitting there gooning off to fucking drow erotica? Is that what that said? It did look crudely drawn. You fucking gooners. You fucking flesh warp gooner bastards. That's fucking funny. Crudely drawn drow erotica.
The tavern's band, Shadow Malice, is on stage when the heroes arrives. Instead of randomly determining this, you can also decide whether the band is playing. Lolizunks is ostensibly the bouncer, but cares little about what happens in the tavern. The Morlock patrons hope to be chosen for flesh warping in the near future, and even the Morlock bartender looks forward to becoming like the powerful Dreshkins who come here from time to time. Everyone here assumes that intruders from the surface, like the heroes, have come to start a fight. If the heroes quickly display peaceful intentions, these patrons keep a close eye on them but resume their business. The bartender has only a few drinks available but sells them to the heroes at inflated prices. The patrons all have a starting attitude of unfriendly to the heroes. Lolizunks casts suggestion on any hero who persistently bothers her, insisting that they leave her alone. The Morlock bartender gives only a half-hearted attempt to prevent the heroes from leaving by either of the doors behind the bar. She doesn't consider her pay sufficient to stand in the way of well-armed intruders. The Morlock patrons all idolize the band Shadow Malice and bring them up in conversation. If a fight breaks out, the tavern's Erdifhan manager, Viscary, comes from Area F16 in 3 rounds to join the battle. Viscary and Lolizunks fight to the death to protect the tavern they consider their home turf, while any Morlock reduced to fewer than 10 hit points flees. If the members of Shadow Malice are present, they retreat to Area F18 rather than risk injury. Lolizunks Creature 6. See Lolizunks. Initiative Perception plus 13. Morlocks, 4, Creature 2. See Morlock. Initiative Perception plus 7. Side quest: if the heroes seem curious about Shadow Malice, regardless of the band's presence, the Morlocks all start chanting the band's name and challengers, in Undercommon. It might seem like the Morlocks intend to set up the heroes to fight against the band, but they call for a battle of entertainment, not of weapons.
Battle of the
bands! The guys bring
bands!
Shadow Malice onto the stage, if the band's not already there, and Rita, the band's vocalist, explains the rules. Lolizunks. You want to challenge us? Then let's get to it. We'll each face off one-on-one. Each pair squares off with some kind of show, music, acrobatic tricks, displays of strength, whatever. Then we perform as 2 groups, mine then yours, and let the crowd tell us who's the best overall.
I'm really gonna have to resubscribe to this the next time the good deal comes around, because listening to this voice is fucking painful compared to the old ones that I used to have.
The challenge has an individual and a group phase. The individual phase pairs each hero with one
I might be able to actually get through some more Warhammer books too.
of Shadow Malice's 4 members. If the party has more than 4 heroes, some must sit out this phase. A band member provides the best solo performance they can on their instrument of choice, then the paired hero can attempt a DC 22 check with a relevant skill, such as performance, acrobatics, athletics, or any you deem appropriate to impress a crowd. This DC is the performance DC of the band member, which is 22 for all of them. Record each hero's degree of success. The second part is the group phase. Shadow Malice performs a high-energy musical number, then passes over their instruments for the heroes to use, if the heroes don't have any instruments of their own. Unlike the individual contests, this phase requires a performance check. If the heroes balk, Rita grins, and says, "This stage is for performers, friends." To compete, one hero must attempt a DC 22 performance check.
So you guys starting to get an idea as to like how you'll get an idea, just a general idea of how being a GM works based off of this like pre-made stuff, right? It's telling you like, it's really, this is really like sort of, you don't have to do exactly what's here, right? You can change it. You can basically change it, but it's like, okay, to compete, one hero must attempt a performance check. So you say, okay, you do a performance roll, right? Is what I would say as a GM, right? To compete, one hero, someone steps up and they pull out their instrument and they get ready to start playing. And I say, okay, I need you to make a performance check, right? And let's say, for example, Fenna steps up and she's like, I want to play the song. I'm going to play on Pots and Pans, right? Or whatever, right? And then she goes to abilities on her tab here, which you can't see. It's off on the side. Or sorry, skills. Skills, my apologies. And there's a performance option here. She doesn't have any bonus in it, so it's gonna be an impossible roll for her, right? But she doesn't know that because she doesn't know it's a 22 to pass, right? But I would give subtle hints like, oh, they played really well. You know what I mean? You don't think there's any chance. And the only way that Fenna would pass this right now for me as a GM is if she rolled a perfect 20, which is the highest you can roll, a nat 20. If she rolled a nat 20, I would give it a pass and say, okay, you won, right? So we would take this, we'll roll it. There's a little spot over here where you roll it. And I'm rolling it there now. And it comes up and it says a 5, right? So a 5 compared to a 22 is like, that's a pretty bad failure, right? So I would tell Fenna, your performance is that of a child banging on pots and pans. And they don't succeed. And that's that. You move on. Or whatever the case is.
Is the lead performer. Any number of other heroes can aid at this check. In addition, the lead performer's performance check gets a +2 bonus for each hero who got a critical success in the individual phase, a +1 bonus for each hero who got a success in the individual phase.
Now, a lot of the stuff you're hearing, it just sounds like a lot. Once you're actually here, you're like, whatever, okay, sure. Basically, like what that says is like, oh, you could change it around a bit if people help. Right? It is basically the gist of it.
SE, a +1 bonus for each hero who got a success in the individual phase, and a 1 penalty for each hero who got a critical failure in the individual phase. Unlike the normal rules for bonuses, these bonuses to the performance check are cumulative with each other. Falsi Orshendil. If the lead performer succeeds at this final performance check, Rita acknowledges that the heroes are Shadow Malice's superiors on the stage and resolves to leave them alone. Word gets back to Viscary about the heroes' success, and the tavern manager treats them with a modicum of respect. On a critical success, Rita gives the heroes the group's instruments, insisting that the instruments belong in the hands of such talented performers. The other members of Shadow Malice grumble at this decision but sullenly comply. If the lead performer fails at this final performance check, Shadow Malice sees the heroes as being out of their depth and resolves to attack the heroes right on the stage. The band members' statistics are described in Area F18.
A great opportunity for a guitar shot across the back of someone's head, like fucking WWE fucking style. Bow! Fucking guitar explodes over the back of someone's head. It's fucking on, boys! Ballroom Blitz! Ballroom Blitz! Right? Make a perception check. Oh, you roll a fucking 2 on a perception check. You feel a crashing against the back of your head as you start to notice your vision blur and wood splinters spray forth from behind you. You know? That's one of these fucking band members just wraps the fucking guitar around someone's head, right? Right? It doesn't describe it like that, but it's basically, to me, right? Because of me having my, lived experiences and shit, right? That's what I visualize, right? So every GM is going to be a little different. Lots of GMs are going to be very different, right? I like the gore and the muck and the descriptive shit. You know what I mean? The things that make people like, I want to know that somebody fucking cringed or somebody had like a fucking a dilemma. You know what I mean? A moral fucking dilemma during one of my sessions, right? There were a point where they came along a prison cell of like emaciated, like what looked like people, well, they sure were people, prisoners, right? Like who had clearly been there for an incredibly long time, right? And that they went in, all they smelled was like shit and piss and foul and decay. And you know what I mean? Like the rotted meat. And some of the people were imprisoned there, right? And they were like at death's door, right? Some of them like shit coming down their legs, right? Their emaciated bodies, right? Like it was, the way I described it was fucking horrible. It was, the way I described it was a fucking nightmare. The way I wanted to describe it was just absolutely horrific. Right? I wanted to be fucking horrific. I wanted them to step into something and be like, what the fuck? Like as players, right? I wanted to set a tone that was so dark and just like that it presented a dilemma for the characters, right? Like, what the fuck do we do? That person's like, that body is breathing. That was one that was a memorable one because a lot of the group was like, no, we don't want to touch them, right? Not close the door or whatever. And Drive Shaft was like, fucking get in here and pick these fucking people up and get them. We got to get them the fuck out of here. They're alive. Like, these conditions are fucking horrendous. Everybody else was like, no, we're just gonna shut the fucking door and continue. And he was like, no, we gotta fucking help these people. Then everybody started helping and casting spells and cleaning up the cell so they could get in. And it was morbid, man. I wanted it to be morbid, like, but I don't really cross like weird lines. I don't get into like, I try not to get into like sexual shit because that's kind of like it. I don't need it. You know what I mean? I don't need it in my games. That's one of the things I won't really get into in my games. It's just, that's one of the things we don't get into. I'll try not to get into it. If a player, you know what I mean, tries to bring something up, I'll try to steer it in a fucking different direction. Because, I don't mind making people feel awkward with like situations like where it's like filth and gore and stuff like that. But like sexual stuff at the tables gets weird. It gets weird. I don't like it. So you can expect to pretty much under almost any and I say under almost any circumstances because, you know what I mean, never really know what's going to happen, but I will do my fucking damnedest if somebody tries to get that in there to fucking just fucking derail that shit immediately. Like, we can make the world fucked up without having to include any of it in any capacity, right? Where it's like, I want to, you know what I mean? I want to pick up a hooker or something like that, right? It's like, okay, well, You know, it'll be as far as like me describing you just going back to your room, and that's it. And the next day you come out, and you know what I mean. That's it, right? It may be alluded to, but it's not like I won't be like, oh, you in your room. No, fuck that. No, I don't do that shit. I'm not doing any fucking ERP or any weird shit like that. No. I don't do that. Fuck that noise. But I do enjoy a bit of that. I do enjoy a bit of that. Would that be like my description would be kind of grimdark, I guess. At times when I want to make people, when I want to like strike emotions into people, I'll get very descriptive. And you can tell when it's happening because I get very descriptive. I'll get into it and I'll emphasize stuff. I'll put emphasis on certain words. And, you know, I'll be very passionate the way about, you know, describing it. But yeah, anyway, that was one of the things that stood out where everybody was like, you know what I mean? It was very like eye-opening as a GM, like, holy shit, like, you know what I mean? Mostly everybody else is just getting ready to walk away. One guy goes in and is like, no, we gotta help these fucking people. And then everybody else was like, shit, yeah, I guess we do. Some people were still reluctant, right? And that plays into the character. Doesn't make them bad people. It's just funny to present players with this dilemma and see what they do as their characters, right? It's fun. That's where the fun from this tabletop shit comes from. Really, right? It's the playing off of each other, right? And let me be the first to tell you, despite the fact that you guys are saying Drive Shaft is like the main character, that is like not at all the character. That is not at all the character. His character, as far as like the way his character is, he is not the main character. He does not play like that. He's very sort of like sit in the back, quiet, doesn't say much, grab an item here and there.
Anyone remaining in the tavern simply watches the fight, considering it a bloody part of the show. On a critical failure, the patrons join the fight after the first round, which means the heroes should likely make a hasty retreat before getting overwhelmed.
Drive Shaft is Kale Mordrum, the Tengu rogue, who has a hounded thief background. If I do like another one in the future, I'll probably start streaming or recording the one-shots or games, little single one-shot games, just to try and start recording them and put them up online on the YouTube or something. They usually run about 3-4 hours a session. I'd like to record some and get some up. But it's something you have to plan for, because you have to tell people, hey, I'm recording this, right? You got to find the right people for the recording, right? Because generally speaking, you want people who are active, who are a little outgoing, but not like, they won't try to like hog the spotlight. Not that that's an issue, generally speaking, but you know what I mean? You got to make sure it's the right, and then you got to do the logistics of like, how many people are we going to have? How long is combat going to take? So there's a lot of logistics that I have to go through in order to kind of get a baseline of what it should look like. So I'm still kind of figuring that out, but I really do want to record some sessions of Fablecraft is what I would start with, because Fablecraft is a very like light version of this stuff. It's very light. It's very like automatic, right? There's like some of the descriptions are auto read. I can have the narrator, the voiceover read them, or I can read them, whatever I feel like. But it's a really good introduction. It's not really good, it's an excellent introduction to tabletop.
Treasure. The gambling Morlocks have a total of 15 GP, 181 SP, a gold tooth worth 5 GP.
So this is a bunch of stuff from the, what you call it. So let's just go to the kitchen.
Kitchen. This dirty kitchen features a lit stove replete with oil stains, gristle, and the strong aroma of smoke. Alcoves to the north contain meat hooks and overflowing baskets of fungus. Many creatures that frequent the warped brew are evil carnivores who relish the flesh of the living, so the meat hooks often have intelligent creatures dangling from them. There are 3 such creatures here now. All still live but are unarmed, weakened from their captivity, and desperate to avoid being placed on the menu. The creatures include a deep gnome named Glash Drumder, a drow named Falzy Orshendil, and a skulk named Jedsley. The heroes find all 3 of them tightly bound, hanging from meat hooks, and unable to free themselves. Glash Drumder, this grumpy deep gnome warrior, has been here the longest and is currently unconscious. If roused, he's quick to swear vengeance against the flesh-warped traitors who captured him. After even a few moments of reasoned reflection, he acknowledges he's outclassed and prefers to leave the Abomination vaults behind. He has little to tell the heroes. Falzy Orshendil, this young drow rogue, is chaotic neutral. The most alert when the heroes first arrive here, he quickly asks for his freedom. He knows the Sugathis have considered transforming him into a Drider or feeding him to the patrons here, and he desperately wishes to avoid either fate. He explains that he hails from a small drow settlement deeper underground called Yildiris, but he's unwilling to give much detail about Yildiris to strangers. He says only that the city welcomes traders and that the heroes should visit, peacefully, if they come to the area. Falzy and 2 other drow were scouting farther from their settlement than usual when Erdif hands attacked them. He was knocked unconscious and somehow ended up here. Though selfish, Falzy isn't evil, nor are the other inhabitants of Yildiris. If the heroes let him go, he eventually returns to Yildiris and might meet the heroes in Area I-6. The heroes' encounter with Falzy should suggest that Yildiris is a safe place to visit, and set the stage for a peaceful encounter with drow living in the lower levels. Jedsley, this unfortunate skulk, hangs limply on her hook, her right hand visibly missing. She constantly mumbles and murmurs about the man in colored rags who takes hands. Other attempts at conversation with her prove unintelligible. Before Isan Keller discovered the psychic human girl, Doriana Menhems, he amused himself by tormenting Jedsley's dreams. With a successful DC 22 perception check, a hero who has interacted with Doriana notices some disturbing similarities with the way Jedsley mutters about the man in colored rags. Helping Jedsley reclaim her sanity is a long and difficult road outside the scope of this adventure, but Glash Drumder offers to look out for her if the heroes set them both free. Treasure. While nothing in this kitchen is suitable for consumption by anyone but perhaps a goblin, a large jar labeled Deadly Nightshade lies at the bottom of one of the mushroom baskets.
That's one of the reasons I always fucking play Goblin, bro. While nothing in this kitchen is suitable for consumption by anyone but perhaps a goblin, bro. Bro, I fucking love goblins, bro. They're my favorite. My absolute fucking favorite. They're disgusting. It's when you try to make them be good and fit in. They get so good. It's so fucking great for roleplay. It's my favorite roleplay. A goblin who like nobody likes, right? Because nobody generally likes a goblin, right? They're just like, a fucking goblin? Like, really? There's a goblin here? And like, you try to be endearing, but you're just a little fucking freak. It's fucking great. It's my favorite. You're like, everybody's like eating their rations. And as a goblin, you can like pick your nose and eat it. That's not like a thing in the game, but like, that's what a goblin would do, right? He's trying to fit in, right? So he's like, oh, and like, here's how I would role play that, okay? I'll give you the scene, right? The group sits down to finally start eating, take a 10-minute break, eat some rations, right? How I would play that out as a goofy goblin, right, who wants to be a part of the crew, right, who wants to do good by these people, right? Maybe I've been exiled or whatever the case is, right? Everybody starts eating and they're like, sit down and have a drink, right? And it's clear that this is the time to start eating. So, oh, okay. And the goblin, I would have my goblin, as me as a character, start picking his nose and eating it, driving his finger deep into his nose and pulling out bits and eating it, right? And someone in the party would be like, right? Or an NPC or something would be like, what are you doing? Cut that out. You uncultured goblin swine or whatever, right? And it'd be like, oh, okay. And then I would grab a fork and start trying to jam it in my nose and look around, right? Observe everybody using their utensils, and then proceed as a goblin to jam a fork up my nose to get the boogers. Like a goblin would perceive a civilized person would. Right? That's some on-the-spot riffing for some role play for you guys, right? That's what I would do as a goblin. And I fucking love goblins. And wherever I can shoehorn them the fuck into my games, I do it. All right, we're back. We're back. Ready to head further into the depths.
The jar contains F13. Level 6 portal chamber. This circular chamber is plainly used for storage, as it has several large casks stacked along its rounded walls. Dull silver fills the faded runes carved into the stone walls. This room contains an inner teleportation circle like the ones in areas E18 and G2. As with those rooms, this teleportation circle must be reactivated with the Awaken Portal ritual before it can be used. XP Award. Award the heroes 30 XP for activating this portal. F14. Storage room.
That being said, does anybody here pay for like an auto reader for their books for Warhammer or anything like that? If you do, I can get you a referral for this one. I would get some kickback on that towards my sub if anybody does use anything like this. If you're not using it, not a big deal. But if you do something, I know a lot of us are into the Warhammer books, so that's how I started doing them anyway. It's this program. I don't remember how much it is right now. I wouldn't do it at full price. I would wait until it's on sale. It goes on sale. They have sales relatively often. I can't even see a price here right now. Get how much they charge for subscription. I use it for other stuff too, though. It's not just for audiobooks. I use it for like websites and stuff if I'm doing something for like AI stuff. If I'll get it to do stuff while I'm working on shit. Read back what it's saying or whatever. You can just tell it to read stuff off of websites too. And listen, get ready and listen, okay? Get ready? Listen.
What up, though? It's Big Snoop D-O-double-G, and I'm an English voice from the United States.
Bro, if you don't want Snoop D-O-double-G reading you Warhammer 40K, you've fucked up in life. This man...
What up, though? It's Big Snoop D-O-double-G, and I'm an English voice from the United States.
Motherfucking Space Marines, dog. Shit. Yes, that's fucking great, bro. Snoop reading you fucking Warhammer is the fucking quite possibly the greatest thing in the history of the fucking planet. I don't think I have any, I don't think I can use it to make him play over here. Where's Snoop? I'll see if I can't. No, he's locked up. It won't let me.
Hey, Speechify here. You've exceeded your HD word limit. In order to continue enjoying your experience with high-quality voices, please upgrade your subscription by clicking the upgrade button.
Words left. I have no words left.
Upgrade, you can continue listening with non-HD voices.
Spare chairs and shelves piled with grimy bottles and poorly cleaned dishes.
Damn, they really want that money. You gonna be listening to that standard Microsoft shit.
Spare chairs and shelves piled with grimy bottles and poorly cleaned dishes fill this storage room. F15. Moldy supplies. Fuzzy yellow moss covers the shelves of this room and their contents. Hazard, yellow mold had started to grow here, leaving the storeroom unusable. After months of being left alone, the mold has grown all over the walls and poses a danger to anyone entering this room.
It will, but it'll stick around, but it'll be for certain things it'll stick, right? It'll be like the whole, like, throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks, right? Right, but it's paving the way for the tech, right? It's not necessarily the first person, right? It's not the first person to finish the race, right? Like, Google wasn't always the #1 search engine, right? There was Yahoo, there was Web Crawler, there was Alta Vista. There was like some old shit, bro. There was Ask Jeeves. The makers won't necessarily be the ones who will benefit the most from it, right? It'll be the people who watch it, and then as soon as it's easy, copy it, right? It'll be one of those, right? Just remember, man, it wasn't, right? Facebook isn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't always the thing, right? It was MySpace, right? The first people to do it isn't always going to be the people who end up with, you know what I mean, in 10 years with the tech running shit, right? They'll run out of money. They'll have to sell all their shit to someone. The people who buy it for cheap will buy it for cheap and then start making it profit, right? Generally, or they'll buy it expensive and start making it profitable. All right, let's continue. We've got a lot to cover here.
Yellow Mold Hazard 8. See Yellow Mold in the Pathfinder Core Rulebook. Stealth DC 28, Trained. Treasure, a forgotten moderate healing potion in the back of the room has partially congealed over time to become oddly lumpy. Although the potion is unpleasant to consume, it's no less efficacious for its semi-congealed consistency. F16. Tavern Office Low 6. This messy office features a battered wooden desk with paperwork and ink stains scattered over its surface. The only exit is a door to the south. This office belongs the manager of the Warped Brew Tavern, an Erdivhan named Viscary. The papers include supply lists, startling recipes for serving different kinds of fungus, and employee pay rates. The chaos of the office belies Viscary's orderly mind. She knows where everything is here. Creature, Viscary used to make the trip from the Erdivhan stronghold deeper in the Abomination vaults to enjoy the atmosphere in the Warped Brew a few times a year. On one visit, she realized that the Sugathis planned to capture and experiment on her the next time she visited the establishment. Rather than leave the tavern she'd come to enjoy, Viscary elected to make herself indispensable by murdering the tavern's current owner and taking over its operation. She's proven to be a competent manager, so the Sugathis have kept their threats to operate on her to a minimum. Viscary knows that anyone disrupting the Warped Brew's operations threatens her livelihood, so she readily attacks surface dwellers who barge in uninvited. If she already knows the heroes, such as if they bested the tavern's band, she is merely brusque at insisting on her privacy here, insisting that they leave before she guts them and serves them in stew.
How much do the employees get paid where? Here in this tavern? In this, like, underground dungeon tavern? Payments include starting recipes for serving different kinds of fungus and employee pay rate. Yeah, it's not actually, pay rates aren't actually listed here. That being said, I would probably say something to the effect of what FP put in there. They'll get paid in stew, so when people come in, right, the patrons and not only the patrons, but the employees start looking at them like potential food, because that would be fun. That would be fun. That would be incentive for them to look at the adventurers as if like, they haven't had many of you down here for a minute, right? You know?
Viscary Creature 7. F17. Private Dining. Placed against the east wall, a disgusting buffet table holds a buffet of smelly fried morsels, gloppy dipping sauce, and spiny mushrooms. This food is provided for the members of Shadow Malice. Although not poisonous, this buffet isn't likely to appeal to the palates of surface dwellers. Doors exit to the north and south. The one to the south has the words, performers only, written on it in undercommon. F18. Dressing room moderate 6. Oversized furniture, certainly intended for rooms larger than this one, has...
Chat GPT premium is like 200. What's premium? What the fuck is the premium? Whenever I've got it, it was like $20. That's the regular one. I don't know what the fuck premium is. $200 a year? Yeah, $200 a year. The most expensive version is $200. That must be for developers. That seems cheap. If that's for developers, like using the fucking underlying tech and shit, that seems cheap. Yeah, that seems really fucking cheap. I don't know what it offers, right? So I can't say, but generally speaking, it's like somebody could then take that and then make a platform off of that and charge people, you know what I mean? And turn that $200 a month into $2,000 a month by charging, you know, 20 to fucking 100 people. It's not marketed for programmers or anyone in particular. Weird. Interesting.
Been jammed into this small room. An acrid smell, like burning paint, fills the air. Shadow Malice's members hang out in this room when not on stage. The smell comes from a cracked and barely functioning hookah, but the band members nevertheless use it with whatever substances they find.
They're in here smoking out, bro. Bro, they're in here smoking out. I'm gonna smoke to that for sure. Hell yeah, I'm gonna hit the vape to that. That's fucking hilarious. That's hilarious. I love it. Fantastic. Yeah, I've already told you the other day. Yeah, I mean, if it can be used to platform off of, then it's a good deal. I don't really, like I said, I don't know the details of it, so I can't really say, but if it's how I'm perceiving it, which is like, hey, you get access to like the APIs and all that shit and the underlying structure of the shit, and you can basically make your own shit off of it and then charge someone else for that. Yeah, I'd have to see what the fuck it is. I'd have to look into that further. I've never seen the $200 enterprise shit. What the fuck is the benefit of that versus the $20 version? What's the selling point? Yeah, don't even worry about it now. I'll have a look at it at some point. Yeah, I'm not really tripping on it. Either way, whatever.
Malice are Gulzish, Krigula, Nox, and Rita. If encountered here, they simply insist that the heroes leave them alone. If the heroes seem up for a challenge but aren't overtly hostile, Rita challenges them on the Warped Brews main stage in Area F11, in the performance challenge described there. If things come to blows with Shadow Malice, Gulzish swings his battle loot while Nox fights with their cookery. Krigula and Rita prefer to cast spells to harass enemies from a distance, but...
Thanks for hanging out, man. Keep in touch. We'll be chatting. Got a game to run tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be streaming this weekend. And if I do, it'll be kind of completely random. So make sure the bells are clicked. If you do want notifications anytime I go live, it might be a bit late for you by the time I do go live. Whatever the case is, thanks for chilling. Have a good weekend, my friend.
Can fight in melee if it becomes necessary. Krigula clubs foes with her drumsticks and Rita gnaws her enemies. Any band member reduced to fewer than 15 HP flees, taking their cherished instrument with them to seek a safer gig somewhere else. Gulzish Creature 4. Unique CE Medium Humanoid Solgath. Male Solgath Lutenist. Perception +10, Dark Vision. Languages Common,
and this
Draconic,
describes the
Undercommon.
enemies.
Skills Athletics +12, Intimidation +10, Performance +12, Stealth +10. F19. Backstage. Stands for music, a folded velvet curtain, and the wooden cutout of a tree clutter this small space. Props for the stage are stored here when not in use. Gulzish usually sleeps on the folded curtain. Treasure, the velvet curtain is in very good condition and worth 10 GP, although it weighs 5 bulk and smells vaguely of Solgath stink. Folded up within it is a clandestine cloak. Anyone searching the room or taking the curtain as loot discovers the cloak. F20. Lower observation deck moderate 6. This long chamber is rounded on both ends with a door to the north and a curved wall of transparent stone to the south. A faint stink wafts from an exit in the west wall. This observation area permits an intimate view of the arena fights. Since viewing the spectacle is a bit better from the higher arena balconies, usually trainers or flesh warpers watched the fights here to get a close and detailed view of the action. Creatures, a Sogatha servant observes the Shanrigal behemoth in the arena and takes notes in a large tome. Their 2 Dreshkin bodyguards stand ready to defend them from any trouble. The Sogatha fanatically protects their research, screeching for the Dreshkins to enter melee while the Sogatha wields a sword in one tentacle and uses the other to keep their book away from foes. The Sogatha also carries a tarnished silver key that unlocks the door to the main laboratory, Area F25. Sogatha Researcher Creature 6. See Sogatha Researcher. Initiative Perception +14. Items key to Area F25, Longsword, Research Book and Quill, Wand of Illusory Creature. Dreshkans, 2, Creature 4. See Dreshkin. Initiative Perception +11. Treasure, the Sogatha's book contains several sketches of the Shanrigal behemoth and notes in a clo about its nature. It includes parts of, and therefore derives abilities from, Driders and Erdif hands, its weakness to positive energy, and that it's kept docile in the arena by a steady diet of failed experiments. More than just a text about one specific monster, this book contains several insights of general applicability to other creatures. It's worth 25 GP to a collector of rare tomes, such as Morlabint. F21. Spallo 6. This room bears the rich stink of rot. Doors to 4 changing stalls prominently appear at the east end of this long hallway. Each door has a makeshift clockwork mechanism attached to it, and the mechanism connects to a lever on the eastern wall through a series of wires and pulleys. The hallway to the west is hung with 4 wide, tattered curtains. Another, thicker curtain covers the hall's west end. The spa kept the gladiators in their best health and entertained visiting guests. None of the Sogathis or their minions want to use it. The 4 tiny changing rooms to the east have wooden doors that stop 6 inches from the ceiling and the floor. The 4 thinner curtains cover alcoves that serve as massage rooms, each has only a dilapidated massage table. The thicker curtain conceals the entrance to another chamber. An enterprising Morlock engineer rigged a complicated clockwork latching mechanism to turn the changing rooms into very small prison cells. The lever opens all 4 doors at once, but it then sticks and won't close them again. Creatures, the room's stink plainly originates from the changing rooms. Some of Jafaki's minions captured, tortured, and imprisoned 4 ghasts here, 1 in each changing room. The gaps below and above the doors allow their potent stench to escape, but not the ghasts themselves. They occasionally reach under or above the doors with their claws, but they can't harm anyone who isn't pressed up against a changing room door. If freed, they immediately attack any living creatures they see, so cunning heroes might use them against other enemies in the dungeon. Elite Ghasts, 4, Creature 3. See Elite Ghast. Initiative Perception plus 10. F22. Sauna Moderate 6. This round sauna is constructed entirely from polished stone. A wooden bench lines the circumference of the room, save for the exit to the east, which is covered by a thick curtain. At the center of the chamber stands a stone pedestal topped with a heavy bronze bowl filled with red-hot rocks. A wooden bucket full of water rests next to the pedestal. The bowl maintains an evocation effect that keeps the rocks within it constantly heated. The command to turn it off and on is long forgotten. The intense heat in the room gives creatures in the room a 1 circumstance penalty to saving throws against fire effects or against effects that give the enfeebled condition. Creatures, Ms. Chen is a rare skulk who enjoys public attention. Once lauded as his town's best brawler, he started exploring the world in search of fame and wealth, and to further his ability to hurt people who consider themselves strong. Eventually, Ms. Chen came here with the notion that the Sugathis could make him an even better warrior. Jafaki believes Ms. Chen will make an excellent candidate for flesh warping, so they shower the skulk with treasure and pit him against their finest monstrosities in the testing grounds, Area F9. A sigil on Mercian's forehead reads Victor in a Clo. Ms. Chen hasn't figured out that the Sugathis don't intend to let him leave once they've experimented on him, or that their experiments will likely result in a tortured existence. He feels like he'll be able to take whatever physical improvements the Sugathis offer and return to a life of seeking championships on the surface again. Ms. Chen doesn't like being outnumbered and therefore doesn't pick a fight with the heroes right away, yet he doesn't want to simply let them go. He attempts to make his way past the heroes to the lever to release the ghasts. Once the undead have softened up the heroes, Ms. Chen plans to beat them to death. He doesn't realize that the ghasts are just as likely to attack him as the heroes. Ms. Chen flees the Abomination vaults altogether if reduced to fewer than 20 hit points. Ms. Chen Creature 8. Unique CE Medium Humanoid Skulk. Male Skulk Brawler, Pathfinder Bestiary 243. Perception plus 16, Low Light Vision. Languages Common, Undercommon. Skills Acrobatics plus 16, Athletics plus 17, Deception plus 13, Stealth plus 18, Survival plus 17.
Bro is a Munson. Almost literally, look, he's close to Munson. He's a Munson related. He's related to the Munsons. Oh shit. What a Munson this guy. Check this fucking guy out.
STR plus 3, Dex plus 4, Con plus 3, Int plus 0, WIS plus 3, Chaw plus 1. Items plus 1 Striking Hand Wraps of Mighty Blows. Side quest, Ms. Chen has met the Erdif Han pugilist Viscary a time or two. If the heroes take the time to talk with the Skulk, he mentions that he wants nothing more than a one-on-one brawl with her to determine who's best. Viscary has never taken Mercian's challenges seriously, and the Sugathis consider her too useful as the manager of the Warped Brew to force her into the arena. If the heroes agree to set up a match between them, Ms. Chen lets them leave to do so. Viscary won't agree to a fight unless the heroes are on good terms with her, such as if they bested Shadow Malice. To convince her, a hero must succeed at a DC 23 diplomacy check. Viscary's will DC convinces her to accept Mercian's challenge. The two set up an exhibition match on the Warped Brews stage, wagering Mercian's magical hand wraps against the contents of Viscary's office safe. The two are evenly matched, so you can decide who wins. Neither combatant will be in any shape to challenge the heroes in the aftermath. Whether or not the heroes threaten to pounce upon them in this moment of weakness, the victor considers the possibility and offers the spoils from the fight if the heroes agree to leave them alone thereafter. Treasure. The heroes can find the skulk's treasures stashed under a bench, a gold and emerald ring worth 40 GP, a ruby-encrusted dagger worth 70 GP, and a fine mithril bracelet worth 20 GP. F23. Storage closet. Cluttered tools, scraps of wood, and furniture are haphazardly stacked in this cramped room. The Sugathis use this area as a storage closet. Only their alien minds can comprehend why they store things like broken tables, 3 cots hopelessly tangled together, a dismantled clock, a brass kettle with 4 evenly spaced holes in its bottom, and 7 mustard yellow and moth-eaten bedsheets. Treasure. A hero searching this area might find rare treasures hidden among this trash. Each successful DC 22 perception check reveals 1 item, while a critical success reveals 2. The valuables include an emerald grasshopper, a hand of the mage, an iron cube, and 2 ichthyosis mutagens. Hell-forged weapons. Weapons forged in the depths of hell often gain sinister powers. Eurevian established a Hellforge on the prison level, Area G4, and has gifted a few of his favored followers with Hellforged weapons manufactured there. In the hands of a devil, these Hellforged weapons gain the agile and deadly D8 weapon traits. If the weapon already has the deadly trait, increase the size of the deadly damage die by 1 step instead of giving it deadly D8. Although worth as much as an ordinary weapon of its kind, Hellforged weapons exude palpable menace, so upstanding merchants usually refuse to trade in them. F24. Torture Chamber Low 6. As the heroes approach this room, there's a 1 in 3 chance that one of the Z-Bubs in the room is invisibly patrolling the hallway. If it spots the heroes but isn't detected, it returns to the torture chamber with Dimension Door to alert the other devils, who prepare to rush out of the room and attack. The stone walls of this chamber appear to glisten with blood. An Iron Maiden stands in one corner, while the other corner has a metal table bristling with nails. Belcora felt the natural red stone walls of this room, which appear slick due to water seeping through them, made it an ideal place for a torture chamber. The victims here were usually gladiators in the arena who she felt showed mercy or an insufficient will to fight. Creatures. Eurevian sent a Barbazu and 2 Z-Bubs to secure a foothold on this floor and prepare for an incursion. The Barbazu keeps weapons at the ready and awaits further orders. A Z-Bub sometimes patrols the corridor to the north to ensure they aren't caught. When they spot one of Jafaki's minions in the corridor, they attack, drag the minion back, and torture it to death. The Iron Maiden currently holds a Morlock's corpse. A devil reduced to fewer than 15 hit points flees from combat and heads back to the prison level, using Dimension Door if possible. They report the hero's presence to Eurevian, who then reassigns them elsewhere on that level, at your discretion. Barbazu Creature 5. See Barbazu. Initiative Perception plus 13. Items Hellforged Glaive. Melee Hellforged Glaive plus 15, Agile, Deadly 1d10, Evil, Forceful, Magical, Reach 10 feet, Damage 1d8 plus 7 Slashing plus 2d6 Evil and Infernal Wound. Z-Bubs, 2, Creature 3. See Z-Bub. Initiative Perception plus 12. Treasure. The weapon racks hold 2 plus 1 glaives, a bloodletting kukri, a standard grade cold iron shield, and 3 moderate acid flasks. F25. Main Laboratory. The door to this chamber is locked with a good quality lock. A character who succeeds at 5 DC 30 thievery checks to pick a lock opens the door. Alternatively, the key held by the Sugathian area F20 can also open it. The heroes can force open the sturdy door with a successful DC 30 athletics check. Books, glass bottles emitting smoke, and clumps of slime fill the shelves that cover the high walls of this chamber. The southern area displays the dissected remains of several creatures, pinned to a wall like rare and unusual specimens. The head of a Morlock, somehow kept alive through some mechanical means with tubes and wires connecting to its body, screams a constant hoarse note. The ceiling of this room is 25 feet high, and its shelves go all the way to the ceiling. Jafaki's background. Belcora first spotted Jafaki and several other Sugathis slithering through the Darklands while she was building the Abomination vaults. They expressed an eagerness to serve her and advance their own experiments. Belcora knew the Sugathis could improve her forces, as well as expand. She tasked them with building her a perfect soldier, then making armies of them to conquer Absalom. Knowing that perfection was a high price to ask, Belcora funneled all the resources she could to the Sogathis. The Sogathis pursued not one research path but many, including flesh warping, monster breeding, and even dabbling in magical constructs. Belcora didn't mind this broad experimentation, as nearly all of it provided her with useful monsters for her growing army. She passed along the Sogathis' innovations to other alchemists and mages who could duplicate the work. When the Rose Guard defeated Belcora, the Sogathis nevertheless continued pursuing their objective. Their initial obstacle was a bone devil named Tarkana. Tarkana deemed that ongoing duty to Belcora, to whom the bone devil remained loyal even after her death, meant taking a firmer hand in overseeing the Sogathis. Tarkana tried to constrain and direct the Sogathis' sprawling research. Rather than comply with these unwelcome demands, the Sogathis rebelled. Jafaki ambushed and killed Tarkana and seized control of the laboratory's level. This assault started a brief war between the devils and the Sogathis. For months the two sides fought, but Eurevian soon discovered the Sogathis weren't really interested in expanding their holdings, only defending the territory they had. The two sides settled in an uneasy truce on their respective levels of the vaults. These front lines aren't absolute. Eurevian is happy to permit potential raw materials to pass through the prison, and the Sogathis' cast-off creatures often find their way into the devil's gradually increasing forces. Jafaki has little concern for the army growing on the level below. The Sogathis don't bother with the imp and Zebub spies that occasionally pass through the laboratories, but Jafaki and their colleagues can make marching through with a large army costly or even impossible. Jafaki plans to permit free passage only in exchange for additional concessions to bolster their ongoing experiments, even though Eurevian is certain to balk at the cost. Jafaki's research has seemed to drift over the years through various abhorrent sciences, flesh warping, reanimation of the dead, selective breeding, or even golem creation. Yet they remain as focused on their goal of creating the perfect soldier as they were when they spoke to Belcora all those years ago. That word has driven Jafaki for centuries. Good soldiers? They've created those, and all have died by the dozens or hundreds in the arena. Great soldiers? Some of Jafaki's finest works have been nearly unstoppable. But nearly is not perfect. Jafaki will pursue perfection for as long as it takes. Encountering Jafaki Severe 6. Jafaki does all their best work in Chamber F20, continuing their existence's driving purpose, scientifically engineering the most powerful monsters. They might be encountered elsewhere in the laboratory's level, as needed to evaluate potential successes. They even strive to make the best of their failures, such as by cultivating the Shanrigal behemoth in Area F26. Jafaki isn't likely to venture out in direct response to the hero's presence. They consider the heroes to be little more than annoyances and trusts in others to take care of them. Once the heroes show up here, Jafaki finally realizes they might have underestimated them. Creatures, Jafaki sends the Drider to answer any knock at the door, since other Sogathis sometimes come by for Jafaki's guidance. The heroes might take advantage of this habit to take the preoccupied researcher by surprise. If the heroes try to force open the door or pick the lock, Jafaki realizes they're intruders and prepares for a fight. The Drider scrambles up to the ceiling. Jafaki envenoms their rapier and casts Levitate to stay out of melee reach. Both use their spells as often as they can. The Drider uses Fireball and Acid Arrow to inflict direct damage, while Jafaki prefers spells that disorient opponents and turn them against each other, like Confusion. They hope to distill out which of the heroes is the toughest, then take that hero captive for experimentation. When direct damage is more useful, Jafaki hurls their alchemical bombs to catch as many targets as possible. Both of these foes fight to the death, the Drider out of loyalty to Jafaki, and Jafaki because they can't abandon their life's work. Jafaki Creature 8. Unique CE Large Aberration Sogatha. Sogatha Flesh Warper. Perception plus 18, Dark Vision, Tremor Sense 30 feet. Language is Aklo, Common, Undercommon, Telepathy 100 feet. Skills Acrobatics plus 18, Crafting plus 18, Diplomacy plus 15, Intimidation plus 17, Medicine plus 16, Nature plus 16, Occultism plus 18, Stealth plus 18. STR plus 3, Dex plus 6, Con plus 4, Int plus 4, WIS plus 4, Cha plus 3. Items plus 1 Striking Rapier, Wand of Gentle Repose, Wand of 2nd level Magic Missile, Expanded Alchemist's Tools, Keys to Areas E11 and F7. Infused Items. Jafaki carries these infused items. A creature that starts its turn in the aura must succeed at a DC 23 will save or become confused for 1 round. On a success, that creature is temporarily immune for 1 minute. Jafaki can suppress or activate this aura as a single action with the Concentrate trait. Command Confusion. Trigger. A creature fails its save against Jafaki's Mind Fog aura. Effect. Jafaki determines who the confused creature attacks for that round, instead of the target being randomly determined by the GM. If the chosen target is the confused creature's ally, the creature can immediately attempt a DC 21 will save. On a success, its target is determined randomly as normal, and on a critical success the target is no longer confused. Speed 25 feet. Melee bite plus 18, agile, finesse, damage 2d6 plus 5 piercing plus Sugatha venom, melee rapier plus 19, deadly, ranged acid flask plus 19, ranged bottled lightning plus 19, bomb, range increment 20 feet, splash, damage 2d6 plus, and venom weapon, manipulate. Jafaki applies their innate Sugatha venom to one weapon they wield. Magic item mastery. Jafaki can cast a spell from magic items even if the spell isn't on their spell list. All such spells are occult spells and use Jafaki's innate spell DC and attack modifier. Quick consumption, flourish, side quest. Jafaki's current project is to manufacture a flesh golem with occult machinery here. They intend to assemble it using the Morlock's head and the neatly labeled body parts scattered around the room. A sketchpad bears the instructions for assembly and notes that ambient necromantic energy in the Abomination vaults will animate the flesh golem. The key to this experiment is the occult machinery keeping its head alive, which focuses this ambient energy. Finishing the golem requires Jafaki's knowledge and expertise. Doing so goes beyond the hero's current capabilities. The heroes can, however, disconnect the machine to end the Morlock's torment. Disconnecting this machinery requires a hero to succeed at a DC 22 occultism check. On a success, the Morlock head dies and the machinery can't be used again. On a failure, or if the heroes simply smash the machine, the Morlock head dies, but the invisible energies accumulated within the machine seek another source of stitched skin and meat to animate as a flesh golem. If the heroes left the fleshy statue of Belcora intact in the Temple of the Canker, Area C34, these errant energies animate it as a flesh golem instead. The flesh golem comes to life with an instinctive drive to find and kill whoever ruined the machine. It always knows the distance and direction to the hero responsible and immediately begins pursuit down through the Abomination vaults. As the golem is far away, it might take hours to catch up to the heroes, at your discretion, but when it does, it fights until destroyed. Disappearing Morlocks, Jafaki is wrapped up in their experiments and projects but nevertheless has an effect on the surrounding dungeon. Every few days, Jafaki calls for one of the Morlocks in the Warped Brew Tavern to come here with the promise of being flesh warped into a Dreshkin. The Morlock F26. Arena floor severe 6. Dried blood from past combats forms a crust over the sand spread across this arena's stone floor. Torches illuminate the floor in bright light but hardly reach the walkway ringing the arena high above. 2 staircases lead up to this walkway, but a metal portcullis blocks each one. The site of hundreds of bloody battles, this arena entertained Belcora's bloodthirsty guests and tested her many gladiators. From these champions, she chose officers to lead her monstrous armies. The portcullises are controlled by a wheel and lever on the balcony above, Area E26, but a creature can lift a closed portcullis with a successful DC 25 athletics check. The doors to the east and west are unlocked. Creature, after the death of hundreds of monsters and gladiators, the arena is imbued with the essence of death. When Jafaki first dumped scraps from failed creations here, the decaying flesh spontaneously arose as shanrigals. The first few times this happened, Jafaki had their driders drag the resulting shanrigals to the holding cells, Area E3, for study. Curious about how large these aberrations could grow, Jafaki assembled a giant pile of flesh and assigned a Sugatha to document the resulting shanrigal's composition and growth. The creature has grown into a massive shanrigal behemoth from incorporating scraps of driders, Urdif hands, and other creatures. The monstrosity simply waits for meals of scraps and corpses. Outside of feeding, the creature remains dormant and is relatively unobservant. However, if it's attacked, or if a creature enters the area of its tremor sense, the shanrigal rouses and attacks. It fights ferociously, using its web trap against foes who flee and shooting bone shards at creatures who remain out of its reach. The shanrigal behemoth fights until destroyed. Shanrigal Behemoth Creature 9. See Shanrigal Behemoth. Initiative Perception plus 18. Treasure, a few creatures have tested their might by fighting the Shanrigal and lost. Their equipment lies scattered in the bloody sand on the floor, ghoul hide, a caterwaul sling, and a horn of fog.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of lore. I'm about to go into the next dungeon. The next level down, because this was one that they came back up to. I just had to refresh myself on this one and the next one, so they can start traveling around or remember everything, because it's been like a month or two. Chapter 7.
5 centuries ago, Belcora summoned the contract devil Eurevian to administer her abomination vaults. Always looking to sweeten a deal, Eurevian further offered to train Belcora's armies and lead her invasion of Absalom for a price. Eurevian knew that Valrujni, legendary Rose Guard swordswoman and exiled royalty from Nidal, lived in Absalom. The Rujni family has, for reasons even Eurevian doesn't know, special value to certain parties in Hell. In exchange for Eurevian's aid, Belcora guaranteed him Rujni's soul. When the Rose Guard attacked Gauntlight, bringing the soul right to Belcora's doorstep, Eurevian was in Hell, committing Rujni's soul to a much more powerful entity even though he didn't yet have it. By the time he returned, the Rose Guard had prevailed with Belcora slain. The sorcerer couldn't fulfill her end of the bargain.
New map here. Sorry, we've got a new map here. Let me get this up. Laboratories. Here. Prison.
Trapping Eurevian in the interminable process of preparing a surface invasion that would gain him nothing. Worse, he didn't dare return to Hell without the Rujni soul, and his agreement forbid him from capturing the soul directly or through his infernal proxies, as Belcora was intended to deliver it. Eurevian was trapped. Now that Belcora has returned, Eurevian's agreement with her can be fulfilled. He plans to train her armies and invade the surface, starting with Odori. His spying has informed him that Carmen Rujni, whose soul can also fulfill his contract, lives there. Eurevian has fully mobilized his devils to train the flesh warps who've come into his realm. Belcora placed several horrible monsters in stasis, though Eurevian doesn't yet know how to reliably free them and has made that discovery his next priority. Although the devils can use Dimension Door to reach the surface quickly, Eurevian's other troops need physical access, which required him to approach the Sugathi Jafaki about allowing them through the laboratories. Jafaki feared another diabolic ruse, a reasonable assumption given the Sugathi's past relations with Eurevian, and agreed on one condition: Eurevian must allow the Sugathis to personally inspect all infernal forces and make upgrades and improvements. Eurevian knew this ploy was for Jafaki to get their tentacles on endless research subjects and that the Flesh Warper would never sign off on any troops. Eurevian is ready to wash his hands of this entire arrangement, but alas, he has a contract. Eurevian sees the heroes as an unexpected opportunity and a potential solution. If the heroes slaughter their way through Jafaki and the Sugathis, then all the better for the devil. Eurevian has ordered his devils to keep an eye out for the heroes, to kill all but 1 or 2, and then bring him the survivors for negotiations. He plans to convince the remaining heroes to deliver Carmen Rujni to him. Otherwise, he'll march his army up through the dungeon and destroy Odori. Eurevian's devils have had little contact with the Abomination Vault's lower levels, even in less troubled times. He receives food from the farm level below to feed his mortal soldiers but cares little for the denizens there or their machinations. Since Belcora's return, Eurevian has seen an increase in Erdif hands, Shroud, and more parading through the prison level, and he has had enough. He recently blocked the stairs leading down to the lower level with rubble, Area G1, and erected a magical barrier across the large elevator opening, Area G3. Eurevian knows that his control over these barriers probably gives him some leverage with the heroes, too, which further benefits him. He needs them to be his hands on the surface. View full-size map. View prison features. Ceilings are 20 feet high throughout the prison, which is illuminated by dim, red light from flickering flames or glowing diabolic symbols. The doors are all stone-bound in iron, and many are locked. As a side effect of pervasive, diabolic influence, all doors flicker briefly with fire around their edges when opened or closed, making sneaking in the prison level difficult. A hero trained in religion can utter a brief incantation, which requires no action, when opening a door to prevent this effect. The map for this level appears above. G1. Lower shaft. The spiral staircase bottoms at a circular chamber's red stone floor. 4 wide passages lead away in opposite directions, 3 of them ending at a door. The west passage features the most impressive of these doors, which are 15 feet high and inscribed with a blazing pentagram. The southwest stairway descends from this room and appears choked with boulders, rubble, and dust. Barba's a drill sergeant. This chamber provides easy access to the prison's cell blocks. Most doors leading from this room are unlocked and open easily, except for 2 described in their respective locations. The secret door to Area G2 is both hidden and locked, and the pentagram inscribed doors to Area G10 are magically sealed. The stairs leading downward connect to Area H1, 100 feet below. The currently impassable stairs take at least a week of labor to clear. This level's denizens likely won't give the heroes this time without harrying them, so they can't effectively clear away the rubble while the devils and other hostile creatures remain. Eurevian agrees to clear the way for the heroes if they negotiate with him, as described in Area G10. An eye on the shaft, this room doesn't have any guards, but the Barbaza drilling the unit of Dreshkans in Area G3 to the north likely sees anyone entering it. That Barbaza exhorts his soldiers to attack. Chapter 7 Synopsis. Long ago, Belcora handed over the prison level to the contract devil Eurevian and his infernal minions. They now prepare diligently to invade the surface, and the level is on reasonably high alert. The heroes must fight their way through many devils and flesh warp minions. They might find some surprising allies, including an imprisoned bounty hunter and an imp named Zek who's eager to make a deal. Here, the heroes can also put an end to the malevolent creature tormenting Doriana Menhems. When the heroes finally meet Eurevian, he extends an offer wrapped in a difficult moral choice. Environmental cues, stench of brimstone, eerie silence, flickering flames, smoke, cell doors, infernal runes carved on surfaces.
Sounds good, bro.
Eurevian has been spying on Carmen Rujny and thus knows a little
just here
about the
prepping.
heroes.
I'm getting this stuff done.
You can play up the ominous atmosphere by having some of the heroes' opponents call them by their names or predict their general tactics, particularly anything they've used or discussed around Carmen. G2. Level 7 Portal Chamber. A hero who succeeds at a DC 25 perception check spots the secret door to this room. Pressing a particular stone above the door causes it to rotate inward, but only an inch or so, and just enough to reveal a combination lock made of metal cylinders. The combination is long lost, but a hero can open the door with a successful DC 25 athletics check to force it open, or 4 successful DC 25 thievery checks to pick the lock. A hero who's a master in thievery recognizes the tumblers as the lock's most vulnerable part and can open it with a single successful DC 20 thievery check.
Little hidden room.
This room's floor gleams under a thin layer of dust. Runes filled with silver inlay have been carved into the walls. This room contains an inert teleportation circle like the ones elsewhere in the Abomination vaults, Area B17. This drill field moderate 7. This chamber's well-worn floor attests to its constant use. The walls angle up to the ceiling 20 feet overhead. The northern wall has a mineshaft elevator, but a wall of shimmering orange energy blocks the passage leading into it. Belcora welcomed her guests from the Darklands here before leading them upstairs for entertainment and refreshments. The chamber's opulence has diminished over time. Centuries of military drills, sparring, and other abuses have damaged the walls, which are splattered in blood and ichor. Eurevian pulled in favors from infernal contacts to create a permanent, glowing wall of force that blocks the elevator's shaft and sheds dim light throughout the chamber. He has no personal control over the wall, it's tied to the essence of Eurevian's contract. It disappears immediately only when Eurevian's contract with Belcora is fulfilled, or if he's slain. Details about concluding the deal are presented in Area G10. The elevator descends 100 feet to Area H17, its function is described there, as it's in the lower position. Creatures, Jafaki doesn't pay much attention to the many Grisluts whom the devils defeated, assuming that the devils slew them all. In truth, Eurevian's forces have trained the Grisluts to fight on their side against their creators. As Grisluts are mindless creatures, training them is an exceptionally slow process, but the devils have had a lot of time on their hands. A Barbazu is currently drilling 6 Grisluts here. He uses his magical bracers to encourage compliance, and the Grisluts follow his orders. The devil is immune to the Grisluts' piteous moaning. These troops attack as soon as they see intruders, which likely occurs when the heroes arrive in Area G1. Barbazu Creature 5. See Barbazu. Initiative Perception plus 13. Items Drover's Band, Glaive. Grisluts, 6, Creature 3. See Grislut. Initiative Perception plus 5. G4.
Hey,
Storage
what's up,
Cell
Ranger?
Slow 7.
What's going on, man? How's it going? I'm prepping for my game of Pathfinder that I have running tomorrow. Well, the campaign I'm continuing on tomorrow, I should say.
These rooms stem off a long hall and obviously functioned as prison cells, but the doors stand open. The cells contain stacks of crates, barrels, and quivers full of arrows. These former prison cells hold barrels of pitch, jugs of lantern oil, fuse cord, flint, and steel, and hundreds of arrows, sufficient supplies to destroy a small village. Only one cell door is locked, the isolation cell to the west, area G4A. The Z-Bub in this hall holds the key. The door can also be opened by a hero who succeeds at 3 DC 20 thievery checks to pick a lock or a DC 25 athletics check to force it open.
Nice. Getting ready for some division. Okay, right on, man. That's fucking dope. With a squad up. I was going to do Final Fantasy today, but I was like, I've been doing Final Fantasy all week. I really need to get this prep in. So I was like, I might as well do it on stream, share it with some people. I don't think any of my players, other than Drive Shaft, watch the stream like regularly enough to get any spoilers. And I know he's probably got plans today. So I was like, let me do my prep. Let me do my prep on stream today. Let me, you know what I mean? Do two things at once. We'll stream, we'll hang out. Anybody who's got interest and ask questions, I can help. You know what I mean? People will get to see the perspective from like a GM setting up a game or how it kind of looks. You are kind of well into the campaign, so the story might not make a lot of sense, but you'll be able to kind of get a little bit of perspective from the GM or ask questions or whatever. So that's what I'm doing. That's what we're doing right now. We're going through the content.
Ace Valvigander. Creatures. A Z-Bub named Ace Valvigander is responsible for itemizing this equipment, which Eurevian intends to use against Odori. The fussy Z-Bub has checked the inventory twice over, doing so again to ensure she didn't make any mistakes. Forge Reshkins help her with brute labor and defense. Ace Valvigander Creature 3.
Cheers, brother.
Female Z-Bub Quartermaster. Initiative Perception plus 14. Items Fragment of Eurevian's Pendant. See Area G10. Key to Area G4A. Dreshkans, 4. Hellforge Moderate 7. This chamber's walls are charred black. Chains hang from the 20-foot-tall ceiling, suspending shelves holding tools and metal ingots. A forge fills an alcove in the north wall, its mouth yawns open, filled with jagged teeth like those of a great beast, and a blazing fire roars inside. Between the beast forge's horns, a hole in the ceiling captures the smoke belching from its nostrils. An anvil rests near the forge. The west wall has a trough of sooty water pushed up against it, and weapon racks flank the double door on the south wall. This room once served as a torture chamber, but Eurevian repurposed it for a more efficient use, creating weapons for his inevitable assault on the surface. The tiny ventilation shaft extends upwards hundreds of feet before ending in a large, empty chamber in the earth, where smoke is trapped until it settles. Creatures. Eurevian assigned forge duty to an Aranese named Barkambuk, a skilled smith who bristles at having to produce mundane weapons. He derives more pride from the laborious and lengthy process of creating hell-forged weapons, so his overall productivity over the centuries has been relatively modest. The devils realize that the heroes must have defeated Ace Valvigander and her bodyguards to get here, and they're openly appreciative of the exacting Z-Bub's demise. They still attack the heroes, however. Barkambuk fights with his fiery forge hammers. He has the Flames of Fury ability common to Irenaeus, so any weapon he holds gains the effects of the flaming rune while he holds it. The Barbazu uses a magical hell-forged glaive, making its damage considerably greater than that of a typical Barbazu. The devils fight to the death. Barkambuk Creature 8. Male Aranese. Initiative Perception plus 18. Items Breastplate, Fragment of Eurevian's Pendant, see Area G10, Light Hammer, 4, 100 feet of Aranese hair rope, plus 1 Striking Warhammer. Melee Flaming Warhammer plus 20, Evil, Fire, Magical, Shove, Damage 2d8 plus 6 Bludgeoning plus 1d6 Evil and 1d6 Fire. Barbazu Creature. The Hellforge. The heroes lack the skills to use the evil Hellforge as anything but an ordinary forge, but they can certainly destroy it. A hero who succeeds at a DC 22 crafting or religion check to recall knowledge remembers that even a small amount of holy water splattered on an infernal forge can destroy it. On a critical success, the hero also remembers that doing so releases a blast of energy. If the heroes splatter the Hellforge with holy water, it cracks down the middle with a mighty groan. It deals 4d6 sonic damage and 4d6 evil damage, DC 23 basic fortitude save, to creatures in the room. Treasure. Special metals Barkambuk hasn't gotten around to forging are stacked neatly near the anvil. 5 cold iron chunks, 10 GP each, 2 silver chunks, 10 GP each, and an adamantine chunk, 500 GP. XP Award. Award the heroes 30 XP for destroying the Hellforge. G6. Guard Chamber Moderate 7. This plain stone chamber has 2 double doors, one on the north wall and a second on the south wall. Tiny carvings cover the east and west walls. The Guardian here made these carvings to pass the time. Each carving represents a nonsense metaphysical question in Infernal, such as, who are you if you are no one, and, when your soul is consumed, do you consume yourself? The creature likes to pose these types of questions during their interrogations to make victims puzzle over them in search of deeper meanings and feel foolish upon failing to find any. Creature, a bone devil named Eyigian stands watch here at Urivian's command. Unhappy with serving as a mere guard, yet bound by the contractual terms of their service, Eyigian treats their charge very literally. They never warn the Irinies in the summoning chamber of any trouble and don't leave this room no matter what they hear elsewhere unless they're personally under attack. If given the chance to talk, Eyigian freely explains their role and offers some of their nonsense meditations. The devil uses the time the heroes spend contemplating to ask questions using their Stygian Inquisitor ability. G7. Summoning Chamber Severe 7. A stairway at the room's south end leads north to a platform overlooking a cylindrical chamber. Half-melted candles cover a stone altar perched on this platform's edge. Above the altar, water slowly drips from a crack in the ceiling and onto the platform, the droplets rapidly evaporating in the stifling heat. 6 heavy chains suspend a wide metal disc above a magma pool that illuminates the chamber with an orange glow. A fiery pentagram features visibly atop the disc. Belcora had geomancers divert a natural magma flow to pool here. She then commissioned the creation of the ritual altar and the summoning circle atop the disc. Belcora summoned several fiends in this chamber, binding each to her service. The greatest of these was Urivian, as her contract with him gave her access to all the devils who serve Urivian as well. The ceiling is 20 feet tall at the doors of this room. As the stairs descend to the platform, the ceiling stays the same height, so it's 25 feet above the platform. The disc is at the same level as the platform, but the 15-foot gap over magma makes it daunting to reach. The air in this chamber is magically cooled to only severe heat, see temperature section in the core rulebook, dealing 1d6 fire damage every hour. The 10-foot deep magma pool presents a greater danger. Immersion in the magma deals 20d6 fire damage each round. A hero who succeeds at a DC 23 crafting or religion check realizes that the magma's heat powers the summoning circle. The cracked ceiling, a character who succeeds at a DC 23 nature check, or a related lore skill, such as mining lore, recognizes that the crack in the ceiling allows water to drip down from the underground lake directly
Cheers,
above,
brother.
area
Appreciate you,
F4.
man.
If the heroes widen this crack, a task requiring appropriate tools, the ability to reach the ceiling, and several hours.
Appreciate you, Brother Ranger. Thanks to anybody who's here hanging out. I know this is totally kind of off the beaten path that we usually tread, but I figured I'd show everybody a little bit of what it's like for GMs and stuff like that. Some tabletop, and answer any questions if anybody had them too.
Of chipping away the stone, the drips become a trickle, then a flood. The rush of water fills the room with steam and cools the magma to stone over a few hours. The hero also knows that cooling the magma destroys the summoning circle. Creatures, twin Erinese sisters are trying to convert the summoning circle into a permanent gate to hell. Concerned more with the theory of extraplanar portals than the application, the sisters spend a lot of time discussing their work but haven't done much to enact it. Furious at interruptions to their discourse, they most likely attack intruders. However, if they think a hero shares their interests, such as if they see a hero summon a creature in a fight, they offer to cease combat to discuss the finer points of extraplanar lore. When they've learned all they think they can, the Irinies attempt to murder the rival scholar. Irinies, 2, Creature 8. See Erinese. Initiative Perception plus 18. Items plus 1 Striking Composite Longbow, 1 Erinese has a fragment of Urivian's pendant, see Area G10. G8. Isolation Chamber Severe 7. The door to this cell has a note affixed over a small sliding grate at eye level. Written by the Impzek in Common, Undercommon, and Infernal, the note reads, "Do not disturb if you value your limbs." The walls and floor of this chamber are covered in short spikes just long enough to cause discomfort to anyone standing, sitting, or leaning on them. Once a chamber to detain particularly headstrong or troublesome prisoners, this room has seen very little use until recently. This isolation chamber no longer has a lock, so the door closes but doesn't latch. Anyone moving the note and sliding the grate aside to look in the cell sees its GUG occupant meditating. If she succeeds at a DC 30 perception check when the grate slides aside, she awakens from her meditation. Creature, Belcora recently sent a GUG named Alr to check on Eurevian's progress. Alr's unexpected and unwelcome arrival was one of the intrusions that convinced Eurevian to finally block access to the lower levels. Eurevian has put off talking to Alr because he doesn't really want to renew or revisit his deal with Belcora. Alr has grown tired of speaking to Eurevian's underlings and demanded to have her next conversation with Eurevian himself. If the heroes disturb the GUG, she mistakes them for yet more lackeys and reacts with sudden and startling violence. G9. Observation Room. This tall chamber reaches a height of 30 feet. Transparent stone makes up the southern wall, which looks into a vast room filled with square, transparent pillars surrounded by a catwalk. A jumble of metal scrap lies against this transparent wall. While transparent from this side, the southern wall appears opaque from the other side. Strategists could look out over the stasis chamber to the south to select creatures to transport with Gauntlet. The metal scrap used to be a high catwalk, but the GUG in Area G8 wrecked it in a fury when Eurevian sent a Barbaza to provide a summary report rather than personally meeting with her. Creature, an imp named Zek flutters near the ceiling, holding a small notebook and charcoal pencil. She records observations about the various prisoners with recommendations on how to use them in the upcoming invasion of Odory. Sample entries include, gibbering mouth or ground manipulation could disable or destroy bridges, such as the tavern bridge near river mouth. When Zek detects the heroes, she casts invisibility and attempts to parley rather than fight. Close the door. Close the door. I don't want to get caught talking to you, you'll get us all tortured. So, surface dwellers, glad to see you. You're taking down Eurevian, right? Nasty devil. Bad business keeping him around, yup. How about we leave each other alone and pretend we never saw each other? Although perfectly happy if the heroes leave, Zek will speak to them if broached. Her starting attitude is indifferent, and she remains invisible until the heroes change her attitude to friendly, which requires a character to succeed at a DC 17 diplomacy check to make an impression, as that's Zek's will DC. Zek tires of running menial errands for Eurevian. She's looking for someone more pliable to serve and hopes to enter into a devil's luck infernal contract with someone. If the heroes improve her attitude, she not only offers this contract, but answers questions as best she can, whether or not they take the contract. Zek. What Zek knows that Eurevian has some sort of arrangement with Belcora, but he wants to get out of it, even if it means making a deal to undercut Belcora's efforts. She suggests talking to Eurevian to find out more, but she knows they'll need the 5 parts of a pentagram amulet to open the door to Area G10. If asked about the pieces' locations, she speculates that the fragments could be held by the Sarglagan sent to sabotage the laboratory's level, Area F5, Ace Valvigander the Quartermaster, Area G4, Barkambuk the Smith, Area G5, Eyagian the Guard, Area G6, they don't have one, the Gate Forgers, Area G7, or the strange motley man whose X sees sometimes but who terrifies her, she refers to as Keller in Area G18. Zek knows that Eurevian got tired of visitors from the lower levels and blocked one route with magic and the other route by simply stuffing it full of rubble. She's certain he could open either easily. If asked about the higher levels, Zek gleefully admits to participating in a big fight between Eurevian and the worm monsters a long time ago. She locked a powerful wizard in his room with just a few pitons and still takes pride in the act. The wizard Chafcam in Area E17 would be keen to learn that Zek is the one who imprisoned him. As far as the prison level's layout, Zek has limited information. She knows only about areas G1 through G16, although she's aware of an angry green spirit in Area G17. She has a rough idea of each room's forces, but she doesn't know about the traps in areas G11 or G16, in fact, she believes Area G16 is haunted. G10. Eurevian's Domain Severe 7. The huge doors to this room are magically sealed and emblazoned with an enormous, glowing pentagram. The pentagram's center has a circular indentation about the size of a human hand with 5 deeper indentations. The heroes can discern that some device, like an amulet, fits into the indentation. Eurevian's pendant opens the door, but it's currently split into 5 fragments held by his lieutenants. A devil who casts Dimension Door while touching even a single fragment to the door can teleport to the other side. To open the door, other creatures must reassemble all 5 fragments and touch the pendant to the indentation. After doing so, the door effectively stays open for good. Eurevian can enact a year-long ritual to recreate the door and the pendant, but he likely won't do so. Eurevian doesn't realize it, but a clever user can open the door with only 4 pendant fragments by touching them to the door and succeeding at a DC 25 religion check to mimic the unholy energies of the missing fragment. A creature who fails this check takes 4d12 fire damage and is stupefied 1 for 1 hour, 8d12 fire damage and stupefied 3 for 1 hour on a critical failure. The 5 pieces are in areas F5, G4, G5, G7, and G18. A large chamber of natural stone runs north to south with an enormous stone double door as its only exit. Lit braziers cast strange shadows on the walls and bathe the room in a sinister light. Bookshelves and a sturdy desk, accompanied by neatly rolled up scrolls and stacks of parchment, fill an alcove to the north. Eurevian made this room his home, sealed off from the rest of the dungeon so that he can work in peace. He fashioned the door for himself, but he had to manufacture a magical pendant for Belcora so she could bypass it. Shortly before Belcora's death, Eurevian had the Impzek steal the pendant back. Eurevian broke it into 5 pieces, giving 1 to each of his lieutenants. His trusted devils can come and go as they please, but even they know not to bother Eurevian barring official business. The desk contains reports, inventories, and maps that depict the surface world, Gauntlight, and the surrounding Darklands. Of particular note to the heroes are complete maps of the 5th, 6th, and 7th levels of the Abomination vaults, including all secret doors on those levels. The characters can also find copies of several infernal contracts, the originals of which are safely stored in Hell's vaults. A character who investigates the desk and succeeds at a DC 23 society or legal lore check realizes that Eurevian has kept tabs on Valrujni's line for generations. Creatures, the Fistophilus Eurevian spends most of his time revising attack plans based on numerous contingencies. He keeps 2 Barbazu bodyguards nearby at all times to intercept reports from his lieutenants and to keep him from being disturbed. When the heroes open the doors, the Barbazus spring forward, but Eurevian stops them and warmly greets the heroes. Read or paraphrase the following. As a ruggedly handsome devil steps forward, as the long rolls of parchment hanging from his horns curl up, then unroll again. Friends, friends. Weapons away. Truly, I am happy to see you. The devil turns to the 2 bearded devil bodyguards, their glaives raised. Stand down, you 2. I doubt they are arrogant enough to fight us. I am Eurevian, Fistophilus, and contracted agent of Belcora, but I assure you I am no enemy of yours. You seek to vanquish her? Put an end to her murderous spirit, the threat she poses to mortal life, etc., etc.? Then perhaps we can broker a deal, one that greatly benefits both of us with a minimal number of precious lives lost. If the heroes already encountered Zek and made an agreement with her which Eurevian doesn't really mind, he adds, you already struck a bargain with Zek, so I know it is not a matter of if, but of what price. Trust me when I say, I am offering you an excellent deal. For this conversation, refer to the following list of likely questions and Eurevian's responses. Who are you? I am Eurevian, a contract devil of some renown, if I do say so myself. Eurevian. What do you want from us? Simply put, you are the third-party agents I need to get out of this dreadful place and return home. You see, there is something I want but am not allowed to go and get myself, nor can I employ any infernal agents to retrieve it. No, the hands of a mortal foe of Belcora must deliver me my prize. My devils are valueless in this regard, as are my flesh-warp soldiers. Why does it have to be a mortal foe of Belcora? That is the delight of legalistic contract interpretation. It cannot be me, any of my minions, or any ally of Belcora. The contract was written with the intent that Belcora alone could give me the prize as my payment. Which, of course, she will not until I have given her the full measure of service the contract requires. However, a very technical reading means any of her foes can also provide it, and you have thus far conclusively demonstrated that you oppose her. What is it that you want? I require the soul of Carmen Rujni. In his living body, if possible, though I can make do should he perish. What do you want with Carmen's soul? I owe the soul of a Rujni to someone much more powerful than myself. It would be unwise for me to leave the material plane without it. Carmen is the last descendant of Val Rujni. What will this powerful someone do with Carmen's soul? I do not know, my contract merely stipulated to turn it over. Just arranging the deal proved considerably costly, but I stand to gain quite a bit of prestige in hell if it is completed. What do we do if he died? I know a ritual that can summon his spirit out of the River of Souls and back to the place where he died. There it can be captured. If you sign an agreement with me, I shall teach it to you. We can't give you someone's soul. That's evil. Is it? I say it is a lesser evil to turn over the soul of one corrupted individual than to allow an entire town's destruction. Far less bloodshed on all sides. I do not want to raise Odori, and I don't want to kill you. However, The contract I have with Belcora requires that as long as I remain within her employ, I must pursue the domination of the surface world and the destruction of her enemies. Once my contract ends, so does my obligation to her. All I need is the soul of Carmen Rajni to fulfill the contract. She's had so many. Your players might not spend a lot of time heavily considering the moral question of whether to turn over Carmen Rajni over to Eurevian. But perhaps they thoughtfully debate the issue or even seek other opinions. NPCs in Odori are split on the matter. Vandy Banderdash thinks it's wrong to bargain with the devil using another person's soul. She believes that everyone deserves a chance at redemption, even Carmen. However, she holds a particular contempt for thieves, as she never really recovered from the betrayal of her sister stealing from her years ago. She doesn't push the heroes if they disagree with her. Rin Sivanexi also opposes the deal since she finds limiting a soul's freedom to be abhorrent. Captain Longsaddle happily releases Carmen to the heroes so they can turn him over to the devil. He considers this choice a straightforward way to eliminate a serious threat to his town. For once, Yasmira agrees with the guard captain. She's had so many past problems with Carmen that she'd also like to see him gone, especially knowing that doing so would save the town. Mayor Osef Menhems doesn't take a position but backs whatever choice the heroes make, especially if they've been helping his daughter. The mayor believes that the heroes are capable and trustworthy decision makers. If his opinion serves as a tiebreaker, he leans toward showing Carmen mercy. Morlabint doesn't offer a direct opinion but recommends several stories about dealing with devils, virtually all of which turn out very poorly for the mortals involved. How's Carmen Rajni corrupted? Oh, that bastard of a man. His soul is already damned for lying, cheating, theft, vandalism, destruction of property, arson, abuse of power, blackmail, even a murder. It is quite clear where he shall go in the afterlife. You would simply cut out the bureaucracy by giving him to me directly. If we hand over Carmen, he'll never have a chance at redemption. Do you honestly believe that? Just
hand the guy over. He's going to hell anyway. He's going to hell anyway. Don't worry about him. Just hand him over now, and then we can just take him straight to hell.
Ploy to win a political office, which he would just use to further abuse his power and increase his wealth. If I did not need his soul for this specific purpose, I would hire him. What do we get out of this arrangement? Peace for Odori. I will leave, taking all of my devils with me. And when I go, the barrier preventing you from getting to the lower level will disappear. If you would like, I can direct my flesh warp minions to clear away the blocked staircase, giving you a second way down. I can even broker further agreements between you my devils. What further agreements? Eurevian can arrange for infernal contracts with any of his surviving Barbazus, Pact of Blood Taking, or Irenies, Right of Retribution. As Eurevian drafts these agreements on his devil's behalf, skill checks to interpret the contracts use a DC of 33, Eurevian's legal lore DC, rather than the contract's item levels. We've already defeated your devils, you have nothing to invade with. Ah, but I can conscript more after I kill you. The inconvenience is, at best, temporary. We'll never make an agreement with you. Are you sure about that? Consider carefully. Turning down my offer most likely means your death. Eurevian gestures meaningfully to his Barbazu bodyguards. If the heroes take Eurevian's offer, he uses his draft contract ability to summon a contract for them to sign in blood. Eurevian drafts an honest offer. Upon his receipt of Carmen Rajni, or his soul, from the heroes, he will leave the material plane along with all his devils remaining in the Abomination vaults. His departure immediately removes the barrier in Area G3. Before leaving, he will, if the heroes wish, order any flesh warps to clear the staircase leading down from Area G1. His departure otherwise doesn't affect the flesh warps or other creatures in the prison, leaving the heroes to deal with them. Heroes who sign are compelled to work toward delivering Carmen to Eurevian, as for McGee's ritual. If the heroes ultimately decline Eurevian's offer, he sighs in disappointment before saying, "What more should I have expected from mortals?" He then orders his Barbazus to attack. He casts Flame Strike before entering melee with his Diabolic Quill. Convinced the heroes are mere mortals who can't overcome diabolic soldiers in combat, the Barbazus fight to the death. The more injured Eurevian becomes, the more he tries to convince the heroes to accept his deal. However, Eurevian breaks off combat only if the heroes agree to accept his terms. If he's slain, the magical barrier in Area G3 vanishes, though the stairs remain blocked. Eurevian Creature 9. Unique LE Medium Devil Fiend. Male Fistophilus Field Commander. Perception plus 19, Greater Dark Vision. Language is Abyssal, Recovering Carmen. How easily the heroes can recover Carmen depends on his fate in Chapter 5. If G11. Nexus Low 7. This chamber forms a large octagonal pyramid and has 4 exits on opposite walls. Bright, blood-red light shines down from the top of the pyramid in a perfect circle on the floor. Hazard, Eurevian constructed a magical trap here to capture invaders and summon reinforcements. Paralyzing light trap hazard 8. Complex magical trap. Stealth DC plus 18, expert. Description: when any creature other than a devil enters the light, the magic interwoven in the light holds the creature in place and rings an alarm. Disable DC 26 Thievery, Master, to G12. Arena Walk Low 7. A long hallway, stretching north to south, ends in a staircase at the southern end that branches left and right. The north and east walls each have a door with small, sliding windows. A raised portcullis at the northeastern end here has metal points crusted with dried blood. Not all combatants in Belcora's arena participated willingly. Prisoners intended for the gladiatorial games were kept here briefly before being sent upstairs to meet their fates. The sliding windows allow the heroes to peek into the cells. The stairs lead up to Area F10. Creatures, 2 will-o-wisps patrol this corridor, killing whatever unfriendly creatures they find. They spontaneously appeared in the Abomination vaults decades ago and drifted to this level. When the devils assumed they served Belcora, the wisps simply agreed, even though they've never met her. Eurevian assigned the creatures to keep watch here. They also suggested subjecting the flesh warp in Area F10 to the slow curse, as it lets them sup on the creature's fear as often as they'd like. G13. Empty cell. Dust and cobwebs cover this forgotten cell. The heroes find its door unlocked. Since the devils never check it, this cell makes for a safe, if cramped, place to rest. G14. Imprisoned bounty hunter. Most of this cell has received very little care in the past several decades, but the monocles on the wall appear carefully polished. The devils have recently put this cell back into service. A tiefling bounty hunter named Sinemai hangs upside down, her ankles bound by the monocles. She looks clearly weakened from ill treatment and neglect. Sinemai. Through infernal contracts, Sinemai learned that a contract devil named Eurevian had offered a high bounty for a specific target. Sinemai made her way here and agreed to retrieve Carmen Rajni for a healthy sum. However, Carmen proved too cunning, hustling Sinemai out of her magic armor and leaving her stranded on a leaky boat on the inner sea. By the time Sinemai swam back to shore, the time she negotiated with Eurevian to catch Carmen had run out, so an Aranese dragged her back. She has been here since, fed only irregularly and often hung by her feet. She suspects she has spent months or even years imprisoned. Her monocles open easily, but Sinemai can't reach them. If you need Sinemai's stats, use those of a bounty hunter, except Sinemai is neutral evil and has dark vision. Side quest: Sinemai requires urgent care, as she's on the verge of death from dehydration. A hero must succeed at a DC 23 medicine check while providing water and food to Sinemai to save her. On a critical failure, the bounty hunter dies. Even if saved, she stays distant and suspicious. Her starting attitude is unfriendly. If the heroes can improve Sinemai's attitude to at least indifferent, usually, a hero must succeed at a DC 22 diplomacy check to make an impression. Although you might allow other skills at this DC to get Sinemai to open up, she shares her story. She emphasizes how urgently Eurevian wants to capture Carmen Rajni, and that the contract devil is willing to cut a deal for just about anything to get him. Regardless of her attitude toward the heroes, Sinemai wants the heroes to help free her and to get far away from here. Sinemai is a criminal wanted by Absalom authorities. A hero who succeeds at a DC 23 society check recalls seeing a wanted poster for her. Heroes from Absalom gain a +2 circumstance bonus to this check. Of course, Sinemai doesn't volunteer this information. Getting Sinemai out of the Abomination vaults whether or not the heroes place her in their custody completes this side quest. Treasure: if the heroes turn Sinemai over to the Odori garrison, they earn a 30 GP reward. If they have the Odori garrison's support, Captain Longsaddle gives them an additional 30 GP. G15. Barracks Severe 7. This old prison block has been converted into a makeshift barracks with several shoddy cots pushed into the cells and against the walls. The 3 cell doors have been chained open. Foot lockers sit near each cot. Creatures, when not drilling with the Barbaza or performing other menial tasks, the devil's flesh-warped soldiers relax here. They fight to the death. Mulventox, 2, Creature 7. See Mulventox. Prison office. This old prison office is full of filth and cobwebs. A single door exits to the north. A hero can locate the secret door in this room by succeeding at a DC 28 perception check while searching. If the heroes clean the dust and cobwebs from this room first, this DC drops to 24. Tiny cracks form the subtle shape of a manacle and chain on the wall. The spaces between the chain links are buttons that, when pressed, cause the secret door to slide open. Beyond the secret door, A narrow hallway has several peepholes filled with one-way transparent stone for spying on prisoners, along with a door to Area G21. Characters can clearly see the secret doors leading out of this hidden hall, to areas G16 and G18. Isand Keller didn't like the fact that a secret tunnel led directly into his suite of rooms, so he installed a trap to keep any nosy creatures away. He pressed Eurevian to help with the ruse, so the devil had the Irinies start a rumor about the prison office being haunted. Virtually all other creatures on the prison level believe this rumor, especially the flesh warps who bunk just outside the room, which has given Isand Keller the peace he desires. Hazard: the magical trap in this room triggers when anyone steps inside. Painful suggestion trap hazard 8. Magical trap. G17. Stasis chambers moderate 7. 15 transparent pillars fill the center of this 30-foot high room. A bright light shines down into the center of each chamber. A catwalk 10 feet above the ground circles around the edge of the room without handrail or banister. At the western side, each stops at a staircase leading down. Belcora kept dangerous creatures in this room prior to teleporting them via Gauntlet's beam. Each cell is 10 feet square, 20 feet tall, and made of transparent stone. Each creature stands motionless in its own column, held in suspended animation outside the flow of time. The creatures haven't aged and ignore any effect from the normal time stream as long as they stay imprisoned within their stasis chambers. However, such effects can work on the pillars, which are made of transparent, magically enhanced stone, hardness 18, HP 76. Witchfire Warden. 10 pillars are occupied. 9 contain living creatures, a Chul, a Drider, 3 Gonyatanes, a Gibbering Mouther, a Gyptonius, and 2 Gugs. 1 contains a dead Gogite because of a flaw in its chamber's magic. If a hero breaks the pillar around one of the creatures, roll a DC 3 flat check. On a success, the collapsing stasis effect messily kills it. On a failure, the creature returns to normal time and attacks anything in sight until destroyed. High-level monsters, such as the Gonyatanes, pose a serious danger even for 7th-level characters. Of the 5 empty stasis chambers, 2 are noteworthy. The northwest chamber appears badly blackened, as though from soot on the inside. After the error with the Gogite, Belcora appointed a hag to oversee this room, knowing that her magical expertise would prove invaluable in maintaining the stasis chambers, but she didn't intend the hag to do this job in life. Belcora trapped the hag in this pillar, burned her to death, and bound her spirit as a witchfire. A creature entering a square adjacent to this blackened pillar receives a brief telepathic flash of Belcora burning the hag alive and gains a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against the witchfire's spells and abilities for 1 minute. A creature adjacent to that pillar can also just make out the objects inside it. See treasure below. The pillar must be smashed open to retrieve them. The second unusual stasis chamber, in the southwest, looks like the other empty chambers. However, its top and floor are both illusions. An open area below the chamber's floor leads to a 5-foot wide crawl space to the open trapdoor in area G21. The wisp in area G21 comes and goes this way while invisible. Creature, the witchfire still guards this room. 3 rounds after anyone enters, she materializes and attacks. Creatures who must pass through this room regularly, such as the denizen of Lang Isand Keller or the Zebubs who report to him, do so quickly. Eurevian has tried to make deals with the witchfire time and again, but the witchfire simply won't listen to him. He knows the creatures in stasis are valuable to his invasion plans, so he has postponed his invasion until he figures out how to reliably free them. Witchfire Warden Creature 9. See Witchfire Warden. Initiative per G18. War Room Moderate 7. This small chamber features a large map of the inner sea painted on the north wall, though the listed countries seem long out of date. A large cushion rests in the room's southwest corner. On the west wall, overlapping scraps of paper create a much newer map of the town of Odery and the area around it. This chamber has seen little use as a war room and has been repurposed for its current inhabitants' personal agenda, as evidenced by the out-of-date maps on the north wall, but the much more focused and updated map of Odery on the west wall. The paper maps conceal a secret doorway to a hall that connects to areas G16 and G21. A hero searching this room locates the secret door with a successful DC 28 perception check. If the heroes remove the papers, this DC drops to 24. This secret door opens the same way as the one in area G16. The secret doors leading out of the hidden hallway, to areas G16 and G18, are obvious from within it. Creatures, Belcora appointed the ageless and mysterious denizen of Lang named Isand Keller as her chief strategist. After Belcora died, Isand Keller lost interest in planning troop movements, though he convinced Eurevian that he was still doing so and that he would have plans ready by the time the devil chose to march on the surface. Isand Keller insisted that Eurevian's Zebubs keep scouting the surface and report back to him, which has allowed the denizen to make the exceptionally detailed map found here. Instead of planning troop movements, Isand Keller seeks powerful latent psychics whom he can torment and, by means of eldritch invocations, send physically into the dimension of dreams so that other denizens of Leng can make use of them. He has had little success in the last 5 centuries. Not only is true psychic potential very rare, but Isand Keller is as likely to drive his victims to insanity as to successfully send them to his extraplanar compatriots. He had most recently manipulated the addled Skulk Jedsley, Area F12. Isand Keller abandoned Jedsley as a lost cause to prey upon Doriana Menhems instead, and his schemes with her near completion. Isand Keller likes to claim a hand from creatures he has corrupted. As he hasn't ever met Doriana in person, he instead stole a psychic imprint of her right hand and manifested it as a massive, gnarled claw. This giant crawling hand obeys Isand Keller loyally and does its best to defend him. If the heroes simply barge in, Isand Keller and the hand fight back. The hand tries to keep foes from reaching Isand Keller, who retreats into the doorway of either adjacent room to keep out of melee range. He prefers spells that debilitate his foes, such as Hypnotic Pattern and Phantom Pain. If the heroes come to him with knowledge of Doriana, the denizen knows his latest plot has put him in significant jeopardy. He attempts to calm the heroes and convince them that he'll release Doriana from his clutches and outright lie if one of them willingly accepts his Leng Ruby. If the heroes fall for this ruse, he relocates to another part of the prison level, which you can determine. He continues to afflict Doriana and begins tormenting the hero who took his ruby as well. If Isand Keller is slain, he eventually reforms in Leng and gives up his material plane plots for now. Isand Keller Creature 8. Male Denizen of Leng. Perception plus 17. Items plus 1 Striking Cookery, Fragment of Eurevian's Pendant, see Area G10, Leng Ruby worth 30 GP. Giant Crawling Hand Creature 5. See Giant Crawling Hand. Perception plus 12. Restoring Doriana, slaying Isand Keller frees Doriana, as described in the Doriana's Madness section. Destroying the giant crawling hand immediately restores Doriana's hand to normal. G19. Hand Collection. A small desk covered in the stubs of burned candles stands against the east wall. The west wall has severed hands from more than a dozen creatures nailed to it, each badly withered and displayed palm outward. Isand Keller. Isand Keller performs his research in this room, but it primarily serves as his gruesome trophy hall. It bears the hands of creatures he has corrupted over the years, including Jedsley's. He spends hours examining them, mesmerized by the intricate details upon each hand that tell an entire life's story. Treasure. The desk drawer contains 2 scrolls of dream message. G20. Ritual Room. A filthy silk pillow rests at the center of this room, surrounded by several unlit candles. Several charcoal depictions drawn directly on the stone walls feature the same teenage girl. A small wooden box sits in the corner of the room with a few more candles inside. Isand Keller performs his dream rituals here, using his magic to invade and twist Doriana Menhem's dreams. His drawings of her help him to focus on her mind. Treasure. The box contains several candles made of rare waxes worth 50 GP in total. G21. The Secret Void Moderate 7. The flat, black walls of this chamber reflect an eerie emptiness. An open trapdoor against the east wall leads to a narrow crawl space. This chamber was built for a high priest of Enhimboleth to sleep and meditate in. The only entrances are concealed and the room's black walls simulate the void of oblivion granted to those consumed by the empty death. Creature, Sakuishu, a will-o-wisp priest of Enhimboleth, occupies this chamber. She's a variant form of will-o-wisp who has gained extra powers from her devotion to the empty death. Sakuisha was sent from the lower levels to check on the prison by Lady's Whisper, a patient and silent servitor of Enhimboleth, Area I-61, while the Gugal who's angry, direct, and abrupt like Belcora has mostly failed to get any answers after being sent to the prison level by the sorcerer. Sakuisha found more success in her delving. She has learned a great deal about the inhabitants of the middle and even upper levels of the Abomination vaults, and she rests here between her invisible excursions. Sakuisha can't return, as Eurevian blocked the ways down in Area G3, but she thinks it's just a matter of time until the way opens again. Because of her frequent wanderings, you can have Sakuisha encounter the heroes nearly anywhere. She attacks to learn their tactics and abilities but retreats to this area when reduced to fewer than 40 hit points. While here, Sakuisha floats, very still, near the center of the ceiling, washing the room in a pale glow and basking in the emptiness. The presence of outsiders in her secret room offends her. She immediately goes dark and casts darkness before attacking. If any of the heroes openly carry the tome the Whispering reads, Sakuisha is appalled that the sacred book has fallen in the hands of a non-believer and targets whomever carries it. If reduced to 20 or fewer hit points, Sakuisha casts Sanctuary and retreats to Area G3, hoping it has opened. If it's blocked, she makes her last stand there. Sakuisha Creature 9. Unique CAE Small Aberration Air. Female Will-o-Wisp Spy. Perception G22. Magical Communicator. A bowl of filthy swamp water rests upon a crude altar. Priests once used this scrying bowl to communicate with Belcora before it became inactive upon her death. It regained a fraction of its power now that she has returned. The first creature to look into its waters sees Belcora's hateful visage glaring back. The creature takes 9d6 mental damage, DC 33 basic will save. A creature that fails its save is also stupefied for 1 minute. After this initial appearance, Belcora's image doesn't reappear, but she remembers the hero who called upon her in this way in future encounters. Treasure. The following items lie next to the bowl: a gallows tooth, a transparent elemental gem, and a grim trophy in the form of 7 ears impaled on a nail.
All right, well, that's basically it. They've got to make it all the way through. Well, they've been down here, they've seen this area somewhat, they've gone back up, and now I imagine they're going to end up coming back down here, but essentially they need to get rid of this barrier right here. There's a barrier here that's keeping them from getting into the lower levels. There's a couple of ways to do this, but the gist of it is they need to get this barrier down, they need to get to this elevator, and continue down. They can go this way. There's stairs down to H, because H would be the next floor down that they're going to. This would be kind of the most, like just looking at it, but this is filled with trash. One of the devils here got sick of the fuckers below coming back up and barking orders and shit. So they had them fill it up with trash. Right? So there's one of the other ways. That's fucking filled with trash. Can't get down there. So one of the two ways down, this way's blocked with trash. Weeks to move all of it. Like a week or two potentially. What type of trash? Just anything. Shit. Tables with, tables or chairs with 3 legs. Garbage. Old rotted books. You name it. You name it. Scraps from metal, byproduct from the forge. Broken bottles. Old food scraps. There's probably a lot of it's probably covered in mold that isn't at all healthy. So you'd have to be cautious of that. At least aware of it. Or try and figure out what would be required or why this barrier is here. That's essentially got 2 ways down, both of which are blocked in different ways. So that's where the party currently stands. So that's where essentially we're going to kick off. Tomorrow is they're upstairs fighting, going to look around more. Because they were down here, they found the barrier, they went back up. That was it. And then they went back up, ran into some shit, so they're running around. But at any rate, I want to thank everybody for being here today and hanging out. The stream's gonna get wrapped up right now. Pretty good day. I know it's probably a little bit boring or mundane for a lot of my regular viewers, but I would like to get this up to some point where I'm actually recording one-shots and games like that. With everybody who's playing and stuff like that, get some good people in there role playing and having a good time and kind of doing the thing, doing the one shot, whatever the one shot is. and try to get a recording of a session up. But I don't want to do it with, I'm not going to do it with this, because we're already so far through this, it would make any sense to start recording content right now. So maybe one of these days I will plan out, I'll try to get together a group of folks who are interested in playing, and maybe we'll try to do a recording of the whole thing and get it up onto YouTube. But otherwise, I will still be doing games even if they're not recorded. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe put an invite out and set up a couple of days where I do some Fablecraft games to kind of introduce people to what it's like, right? Fablecraft will be the entry, a game or two of Fablecraft, get people comfortable, and then say, hey, we'll move over to some other stuff that's a bit more, has a bit more rules to it, a bit more depth and stuff like that. And, you know, kind of transition into it, or just play Fablecraft, because that shit's fun too. Thanks for watching and hanging out, everybody. Have a good day and enjoy your weekend. Later.